Hello, everyone, and welcome to Smashbox TV's podcast 128. I'm your host, Terry Miller, the disc golf guy, joined with Johnny V here in our Milwaukee studio.
Looking at my shirt?
No, I was just taking a deep breath and a pause.
Really?
Before we get going here on number 128. Thank you guys for stepping inside, as we like to say. Well, we got off to just a few-minute delay here tonight, but for very, very good reason, believe it or not.
Wasn't my fault.
Well,
it wasn't
still
your fault.
Ultimately, technically was your fault, but
We were working with the women's group that's going to be doing their symposium in a week and a day, a little over a week and a half, week and a day or something like that.
8 days.
8 days from now. And so we are broadcasting that in 8 days. So what we were doing is we were doing some testing beforehand and working out some glitches, and it ended up coming up to about like 4 minutes before the show starts, and we had to be like, all right, gotta go. I got like 6 other things I need to start before this show starts. So we ended up, things are looking pretty good. I'm
looking great.
excited.
Yeah. And a little later in the show, we'll have Val step back in and join us so she can give you more details. We don't want to in any way shortchange what's going on, but the long and short of it is there's a women's symposium that's going to be emceed by none other than Valerie Jenkins. That's taking place on February 1st. You're going to be able to see it, of course, right here on Smashbox TV. We volunteered to partner up with Val and the rest of the crew in order to basically be a platform and an outlet to get the message out there, so people will be able to see it everywhere. Of course, it'll get saved and archived. We'll get it loaded up on additional YouTube channels, so it'll be a lot like a podcast, except for it'll be a lot more exciting with 5 people, 5 or more people that are much better looking than we are, that have probably even a much more pointed message than we do. Someone has said we ramble.
What?
I don't believe them. Or do I? Yeah, maybe I do. Okay, but
I tend to believe people.
and no, there's no dress code tonight. Just Johnny V and I are ready to get down to some serious business. We've got, of course, a great show, as we promise every week and attempt to deliver. We're going to be talking about the biggest thing that you guys saw on the internet today in terms of disc golf, not Whammo's 60th birthday, but instead we're going to be talking about the Next Generation Tour, and none other to give us the details of that is going to be David Felberg, who works at Latitude 64, works with them, plays for them, manages. I don't know if he's 103% owner of them just yet. I don't know what he's doing, but he's got a lot of good things up his sleeve, and we're going to get the details about this Next Generation Tour, more than 100 events scheduled, and when it's all said and done, somebody is going to go home with a brand new car.
Me?
Well, no, you wouldn't play well enough. I have a few questions, and I'm going to hold a few of those back. Just wait. Maybe. Could be you or me. Maybe not.
Okay. I mean,
We'll see. We'll put Dave to the test here with a few solid questions, and then we'll also have Jake Peters, who was last year's Next Generation Tour champion. I had the luxury or the honor, at least, of going out and seeing him perform in Colorado last year. That was in October. And when it was all said and done, he was crowned your champion. We're going to talk to him about that, what that means for him in this year, and what we're going to see out of Jake here in 2017. So both Felberg and Jake are going to be joining us. And then, as I said, we're going to catch up a little bit with Val. She can give us the rundown on the symposium so you guys know what's in store there. We also had a quick conversation with Dynamite. He says there's a couple not a couple. There's a double ear infection at the house, along with a few other things. Johnny V and I have dealt with a number of those and kids throughout the years. So we may or may not see and hear from a little bit of Dynamite here at some point tonight. So.
We also have our newest disc review from the Disc Golf Nerd. He's reviewing the Shrike for us. So
awesome.
We got a little 2-minute clip there, and we'll be playing that a little bit later.
Okay. Well, so it sounds like we got a pretty solid show lined up. Is that fair to say?
I think so.
How about technical glitches? Where are we at on those?
Oh, I'm sure we'll have one or two.
Well, hopefully not. I think we might have things dialed in. Everything seemed to go pretty smooth last week, so we'll see. And thank you guys all for joining us, of course. If you're watching us live right now, hopefully you're seeing it either on the YouTube channel, direct channel, or you're possibly seeing on Facebook. If you're watching us on Facebook, thank you for tuning in. Please share it. Let everyone else know. However, if you're interacting and chatting on the Facebook app or web page, I sound so old when I say that. When you're on that app
on the interwebs,
on the wwws,
information superhighway,
just know that we don't really monitor that nearly as well. So if you're, some people are screaming at us, I see sometimes, and we see it a day later or sometimes hours later. The chat that we best monitor or are able to best monitor is all taking place on the YouTube application or web page. So please do it there.
And if you're interested in being part of our weekly Smashbox patron giveaway, please sign up for patreon.com/SmashboxTV. Help support the podcast. Maybe in the after show, we'll talk a little bit about some ideas that I have.
Great.
And and get that running. So like I said, if you want to be part of the giveaway, smashbox.tv/ or patreon.com/SmashboxTV.
There you go. So, and of course, we appreciate everyone that has helped out and supported.
Did you bring a giveaway?
No, you didn't tell me to. But
okay.
I've got some ideas.
Oh, otherwise I have one as well. So.
All right, we'll see. We'll see. Before we go any further, we will talk about after we have our guests on. We'll talk about where I was this weekend and what was going on and the amazing people and the experiences that I had within our great disc golf community. I have to send two massive shout-outs right off the bat. First of them goes, I'll do this in reverse order, on Sunday when I was briefly in Phoenix, Arizona for literally a few hours. There's been layovers that are longer than the work that I went and did on Sunday, but Chris Cobb from Arizona picked me up, brought me down to Maricopa, worked a second camera for me, and then brought me back to the airport so I could fly back out. But thank you so much, Chris Cobb. I appreciate it. Thanks for being a Smashy. Thanks for being a supporter of all live disc golf. I know you've been around for a long time supporting the disc golf community, so thank you to you. And then also, I'd like to thank Philip Tate, who was one of the driving forces and one of the guys that helped get things going for me to be in Sims, Alabama on Saturday. So I got into town Friday, was there, stayed over at Phillips Friday night, and Saturday filmed the event, which, again, we'll talk about a little bit later. But two huge helpers, friends, and Smashies. Thank you, Philip. Thank you, Chris. Certainly appreciate it, guys. So, and I think we're going to be just about ready to dial up one Dave Felberg. Before we get to Golf Cruise, go out to discgolfcruise.info and find out all the information. He said he could come on the show and tell us about it, but I figure it's going to be just as awesome just 2 weeks later. So discgolfcruise.info. Direct your he said all the questions should be answered on the website. Please go out there. I know some people made some calls and needed some follow-ups and all that stuff. I can't speak to any of that. Just go out to the website, and that's a good place to get started. So there'll be an entire second disc golf cruise taking place. So I guess Nate and Val and Jay and Des will have to go do another cruise. I don't know. I think that's officially, if to quote Dana, that's what we call disc golf rich out there on multiple disc golf cruises. It's got to be pretty sweet. Disc Golf Nerd asks when the first live stream event for Smashbox will be, besides every Tuesday night right here. Yes, the Gentlemen's Club, and we'll talk about that in a few minutes, or once we get done talking to Dave as well. All right, so, Johnny, I think we can go ahead, and we're going to try and dial up Dave Felberg. He's always on the move. I usually don't know what state he's in or where he's going or what he's doing. Even when he's not playing, he's doing a lot of other things. He wears a lot of hats and plays a lot of roles within Latitude 64 and now with the Next Generation Tour. So we're going to see if we can get him dialed up. We tested his internet connection a little earlier. Everything seemed to work well, and I think we're just about ready to get him here on the show.
We are. We're calling him up right now. So.
Oh, we are.
We are.
Ring, 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 ring. Lots of smashies out there. Thank you, guys. We see a lot of our regulars out there. Thank you guys so much. Please go out and share the link. Let everyone know. There's going to be a lot of questions taking place regarding the Next Gen Tour, and there's going to be no better person to answer those questions than our 2008 PDGA World Champion with 3,000 other accolades and titles. Welcome to the show, Dave.
How you doing?
Doing well. We were just saying you're always on the move. You're on the road somewhere, and you were gracious enough to find a spot that had some Wi-Fi. What What state are you in?
I'm in Texas. I'm in Van Horn, Texas, which is about as West Texas as it comes, just across by Mexico and right there by the 10 where it curves up into Tucson, Arizona. We're driving back to New Orleans after running that big tournament this weekend.
All right, and just that, I know you guys have been working the art scene in New Orleans, and then you had your obligations, of course, to the Maricopa Meadows Open, great event put on by Latitude 64 this weekend, and you're already headed back out of town, so that was a quick visit.
Yeah, I got to get back. Me and Cynthia got some important business. She's got to get back to the art stuff, and I have to, we're working on trying to find a place, a permanent place to live. We're looking into purchasing a house. We're just trying to, finalize that kind of stuff.
All right, well, that's pretty exciting. So the huge news that is circling everywhere on the internets today and the Facebooks and the Twits or something is the Next Generation Tour now in its second year, its second iteration of it. And instead of 12 events, you thought, well, we'll just add on another 100 or so. Over 100 events.
I thought 119.
Yep. Okay.
That's not bad.
I mean, the Pro Tour went from 5 to 10. I can see how you go from 12 to 119.
Well, I have the press release here. Should I rattle off some info from the press release?
Yes,
right
let's
away?
do that.
So the press release, we'll start with, says the Next Generation Disc Golf is pleased to announce Latitude 64's title sponsorship of the 2017 Next Generation Tour Series, providing over $500,000 in discs and merchandise. The sponsorship will help support 118 tournaments, and then I believe there's one extra one. This is just the 118 around the country, with the national champion winning a car.
That's right. I thought, we can't give him cash, and I thought, what's the best prize? I can't get to a house yet, but we'll get there. So I started with a car.
For some people, one and the same.
That's very true. So how in the world does this come about? I mean, at what point are you guys thinking, yeah, 119 events sounds like a good time, and we'll give away a car?
The real truth is Cynthia and I worked really hard on the tour last year, and I've had some visions, talking with Dan Stork-Rada over the years and listening to what he's done in the past 30 years. And then, meeting with Pat Govang over the last 15 years, he approached me and said, this is the one I'm willing to help you with. This is the one I think I could take to the next level. And he's an experienced entrepreneur working for Cornell University as a business advisor and many other startups, from Comet skateboards to all kinds of things. And he took it on full, and he's going to be the business advisor and make sure that all the finances and everything really happens. And I can just do the Dave Felberg part, stand up there, talk, organize the tournaments. I don't have to be so caught up in all the stuff that many people in my position can't keep up with. So having someone like Pat Govang, makes it so that this is really legitimate, and can, he has the experience to pull this off. I mean, he started the national tour, for example.
Yeah, Pat is certainly one of those guys that's been maybe not a household name to someone who just goes out and plays, but to yourself and to Johnny V and I, we know a lot of his history and background, and some of the things you just said. Pat's an amazing guy and great asset to have that's really helping, pull the strings behind the scenes while you're doing this up front. Now, Latitude 64 obviously is backing this, with the collaboration with you and your support and you working with them and for them. What was the vision that Latitude 64 has when they say, yeah, we'd like to get behind this, especially when we see so much effort in the professional side? Now we're talking about essentially semi-professionals.
Well, as you know, Latitude 64 has been one of the biggest supporters of grassroots disc golf and amateur disc golf already. It's been one of our pushes with our trilogy partners. We really have gone above and beyond in amateur disc golf. And I think that, they wanted to find something that was their niche in the sport and find a place where, I could fit comfortably after I retire from playing disc golf and have a position other than managing players or working in the factory. And since I have a degree, this really fits well, and they think it's a good fit for me, and it's a good fit for Cynthia as my partner, and we just feel that this is good for us, and the company was excited to be behind it. That they believe that we could pull it off, especially with the other people involved, and create this standard that we're going to be the ones to take amateur disc golf to the next level, and we're committed.
Well, and now you talk about the overall country in terms of where this is going to be spanning. Do I understand correctly? There's going to be 9 different regions that are going to have the qualifying events, and what is it, 12 events for 9 different regions, essentially?
It's 9 regions with 12 qualifiers per region, and then top 12 from each qualifier will advance to their regional championship. And then after they've been invited to the regional championship, I will be TDing those with Cynthia Whitaker and Pat Govang. So we'll actually be in person TDing all of those. And the 144 players at each one of those, the top 8 will make it to the national championships. And the important part to remember is that it has full payout, over 125%, tons of prizes and sponsors other than Latitude. And at the same time, top 8 make it in, top 4 get a paid spot into the national championship, and the winner, he gets a full paid expenses. I don't mean just an entry fee. I mean entry fee, airfare, car, food, lodging. You know, we're not trying to make this, we're trying to make these kids feel like true athletes and groom them to be the next professionals that we want our professionals to be.
Well, now you just said kids. I've got to say, the next kids. Johnny V and I here, as we've gotten into the media role, some of our skills have diminished. However, could someone like ourselves, there's a lot of questions. You guys have talked about not having this at least this first year, the events aren't PDGA sanctioned. Where's going to be that line, that cutoff, that, you know, amateur versus pro? How are you guys going to deal with some of those things now that I've dipped 40 or so points on my rating?
Yeah, let me answer that for you. Well, you know, my idea was to have the opportunity for players like yourself to compete against the rising stars, giving them opportunity to learn it from the elders and how to act and, you know, see a different skill level where you guys might have trick shots and better putting and more golfing experience, and teaching them on their way through and give you a battle, and maybe one of you guys could take them down because you have the experience. But how we're going to do it is just as the PDGA does it. You know, if you're a PDGA amateur, you're qualifying. If you're qualifying to play PDGA, then you're good to go as an amateur. So if you've cashed in a pro tournament, you're not going to make it. If you've cashed in a NIFA tournament, you're not going to make it. So these are unsanctioned. If you cash in a Southern Nationals tournament, you're not going to make it. But besides that, everybody else will be eligible. And if you're wondering, what about those 980 players who became 960? Well, they'll be eligible as long as the PDGA gave them amnesty. So if they followed the process, went to the PDGA, submitted their point to want to be an amateur again, well, then they'll qualify.
So we are not qualified.
So to clarify, yes, just to
Someone
reiterate
like
what you're
Terry
saying.
and I.
Yeah, me once at 995, Johnny lower. We've accepted cash,
62.
but are still, when him and I both renewed with the PDGA in the last few months, we still renew as professionals. Yep. Therefore, we're professionals who at one point have accepted cash. So very specifically, at least with us two or people in our position, not eligible with your setup.
You could almost call it major rules. Like the way amateurs cannot play a major if they've cash, but they can play any other sanctioned event. So you're going by like PDGA major rules.
Yeah, AM World's rules pretty much, including NIFA and Southern Nationals, which they don't. Because
Okay.
we know how big those series are, and you could have guys in Southern Nationals that are, you know, better than 1,000 rated that don't have a rating.
Okay.
So I don't want to mess with them. But, you know, John, you're in position. You just get a hold of the PDGA and you say, hey, I don't want to sign up pro anymore.
It's been 3 years since I've cashed.
card.
I think. Northwood's like 2014. I think.
Now's your time. So, and then I guess that it very easily answers the question. Matt Graham's on the board. And to specifically answer his question, if someone doesn't have a rating, you guys can't be too worried. Well, there's nothing you can do, but you can't be too worried about, oh, well, they must be cashing in other random places. Someone without a PDGA rating should be eligible to compete in theory.
Right, unless they're a well-known Southern National or NIFA pro, and we have been in contact with both those organizations, and they'll let us know.
Okay.
You know, obviously we don't know, but we will verify anything that seems questionable.
Okay.
And we'll do our due diligence to make sure that it's fair. I mean, we don't want to see a pro run it right off in the car. That's for sure.
Sure. So PDGA membership not required. Just to answer a few comments on the board. PDGA membership not required, so to speak. However, if you have cashed in a PDGA professional situation, unless you've petitioned to the PDGA to reclassify, you are, in eyes of this series, are considered a pro. So
perfect.
Right. And that's what we're going with. You know, once you win money, you're a pro. That's always been the case. I know PDJ's fooled with it, but that's always been the case. We should stick with it.
Sure. Okay. And then to also clarify, one of the things I found interesting is this isn't just really a one division, one champion setup. These are going to be have regular events with a couple different divisions. Is that correct?
Well, the whole series is one Division One champion AM, where you win the car and qualify.
Mm-hmm.
But what we decided, we don't want to turn anybody away because everybody likes to have fun. So we came up with what we call a national side bet. And we have a national sponsor for that, which we'll be releasing all the national sponsors. We have at least 8 of those I'd like to release over the next few weeks. But this particular national sponsor will be covering what we call the side bet. And when you register for the 108 qualifiers, it'll give you the option for $15 to check a box for whatever protected division you want to be in, whether it's intermediate, advanced women, advanced masters, we don't care. And then basically you're going to go up against 5,800 other golfers for 3 months because you're going to throw into the national side bet. And so there might be more than world's competition for these divisions over 3 months. You know, it's similar to a global disc golf, but we're not global, it's just national. And as you see, it'll be ongoing, and we'll use an average rating system. And you'll have an average rating each time you play. And then you'll see that on the website. You'll be able to look and you'll say, hey, I'm in 7th in the national side bet. I want to go to another event even though I've qualified.
Oh,
so I can increase my rating average to try to get up into that cash because, you know, we're looking, it could be, you know, almost 6 figures payout in just the side bet at the end of June.
Okay. And that makes perfect sense.
And I can tell people that products available will be all products, not just Latitude when it comes to the side bet.
Yeah, and then as you said, Latitude, of course, being the major title underwriting sponsor of
yeah,
exactly, of the entire event. But you guys are going to be very inclusive of other sponsors. Some a little birdie told me that some of these sponsors are actually outside the sport of disc golf, which that in itself I think is a huge win for the entire sport.
Yeah, I can't tell you the names yet because we're going to release them, but I was impressed. You could say that Pat Govang is very connected with his abilities with Cornell University. They have a pretty good portfolio. And besides Cornell, Common Skateboards, he was really in that industry. So he's connected with anybody from, you know, think of it, anybody. Element, Hurley, he could pick them up and call them in a day, no problem, and be on the phone with the person making the decision. So having that kind of pull with the reach we have of 1.4 million, I mean, that should be a pretty good thing that sponsors could be interested in. I know that it's hard for sponsors to get into individual tournaments as the reach is not long enough and it's not as many people. But this is a reach that lasts for a sponsor of 9 months of promotion and reaches almost 6,000 players and their families. So, I mean, that's something that's worth something to a national sponsor they can put their money into.
So we're seeing everybody on the board right now screaming, where can they play? My city, this city, that state. What? Where can they go to find this information?
Okay, so next Tuesday, you guys are going to have me back on. I will announce some more information about things. And then we're looking for early February to have the website out. We are confirming all the dates right now. We have them all the dates listed and everything there for all the events, but just confirming some details. And we'll have that all out very soon. But I can tell you, if you live in the United States, you'll be near a qualifier. Unless you live in North Dakota, you might have to go to South Dakota. And even Alaska has a qualifier.
Okay. So
wow.
There's and
well, with 118 quote unquote events running, I would imagine something's going to be near you.
Well, and now, just in case to address the question that may or may not get asked eventually, is the 9 regions. Those were broken up very strategically based on existing disc golf populations, correct?
Right. We kind of followed PDGA regions, but then we kind of muddied the lines a bit based on demographics.
Okay. Now, you just said something else that's coming in on the board, and it's a very fair question. Some people are talking, you're referencing the PDGA, whether it be the rules or the ratings or some of the situations that pertain to the PDGA. However, it's not PDGA sanctioned. Do you have a thought or a comment or a rebuttal to a conversation that someone may say, why are you utilizing so many of the established PDGA rules or guidelines, but not necessarily making them a PDGA sanctioned events?
All right, so I'll address that a bit. First, I want to say I'm a huge PDGA supporter. I was a board member. I just ran a sanctioned tournament this weekend. I mean, I do as much for the PDGA as the Eddie average player, at least, in my time. And Pat Govang was a former president of the PDGA. So, I mean, our love for the PDGA is pretty there. And you got to realize that our registration is disc golf scene, so the PDGA looks to make a lot of money off the registration page. So we're really helping them out. But at the same time, we see that there's a big growth and opportunity in the sport, and try something new. We're not anti PDJ in any way, but we feel like there's opportunities to do other things in the sport, and we know this jumped out at us, and maybe in the future we will be with PDGA, but it was so big the first year and they have so much going on. We just thought we'd take our opportunity and run with it, and we feel that with our providing the same kind of projected ratings and stats and everything on the website, that the amateur really isn't missing out in this event, and they can still compete in PDGA events and be a part of that. We're not saying that you should choose one or the other. We're saying that here's another opportunity and a new type of competition structure that gives amateurs something to stick with other than just going to the everyday weekend tournament.
Okay.
Fair enough. I know that that's going to be a conversation piece that's going to continue on and on throughout, and I think most of our PDGA representatives will even say just that. Not every event needs to be or necessarily should be a PDGA event. There's plenty of events that take place throughout the year that have very special situations or want to play by very particular rules or whatever the case might be. And here you guys are in your second year of doing a tour, and with the vision that you have right now, it just doesn't align with that vision for the moment. And
right,
to say that it could is fair.
As it grows, maybe we can align that vision. But as you look at it now, because of the situation that by choosing this, there's a lot of other things we can do to present great opportunities for the players to enjoy themselves in the competition and prizes.
Okay, I fully understand that. So tonight, shortly after we get done talking to you, we're going to have last year's Next Generation Tour champion, Jake Peters, joining us. He's going to step inside the Smashbox and tell us about some of his experience. But one of the things that he's awarded is this amazing trip that he's going to be going overseas. When you guys move from the idea of travel and going overseas into a car, was there logic about an experience versus a good, or something a little more tangible, I guess, in that sense, or that has a longevity to it? Maybe or did you guys just get a really sweet deal on a
no, we're
on a DeLorean or what?
We're working with automotive partners, that's for sure. But we're not getting a special deal car. The first year we're working with them to prove it's a viable thing, and then hopefully in the future we might have more opportunities with the car company. But at this point, we're just partnering with them and working. They're going to have some cars at the memorial, so you can see the car that you're going to win and all that other thing. So it'll be very exciting. But the reason we chose that over a trip is because, trip logistics get difficult, scheduling for the players. And, he has to take, you'll hear Jake say that he loves it, but he's saving up vacation days right now.
Sure.
Because, you don't know what everybody's situation is. And it's a great opportunity, but not everybody wants to go to Europe. Not everybody can go to Europe. What if they're not eligible to go to Europe for some odd reason with the law or whatever the reason is?
The visa gets denied.
Yeah. Who knows what it could be, but almost everybody can have a car, and if they can't drive it, their family member can.
That's true. All right, let's put this one to bed before we make up our own rumors for it. When we're talking about a car, people are going to speculate. They're going to throw out also. I think when I first heard of it, I even started immediately asking, are we talking about like a moderate, we'll say a relatively fair and moderate car? Are we
Tesla.
talking? Yeah, I mean, you're not giving away. We're not giving away a Porsche here.
We're not talking a luxury car, but we'll tell you it'll be a very nice, sporty vehicle, and you'll be happy to see what it is. I will say that, let's go and say that the cost of the car is, 7 or 8 times the cost of a trip. How's that?
Okay.
Well done. I was going to say, no matter what car someone were to give me almost, as long as it ran, I think that's a pretty good...
It won't be some beginning economy junker.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that.
And it's also going to be brand new.
Yeah.
It's
all it is that we just don't want to release it yet.
Of
but
course.
We can tell you that it's a nice car. I'd like to have it. I'll tell you.
Yeah. Yeah. Any brand new car is going to be nice. I mean, I don't care what brand or style or size you give me. I'll take a brand new car.
Peter on the board asks, as I'm just kind of perusing a few of the comments, since we have you, Dave, is will they offer insurance packages for TDs? And Dave, I believe that's in fact the case. If you're going to be part of this,
all of our events have full insurance, very similar to the PDJ certificate. It's the same thing. We provide it for free though for all the TDs, so there's no additional charge for our TDs, and we actually compensate our TDs for their daily effort.
Very
Okay.
nice.
Okay, and that was again a question I think I had early on, so I think that was a very fair question. I don't know if there's other ones on the board. B. Murph says, so you play tourneys for points that can qualify you for a bigger tourney. Essentially, yeah, this is a series of. Go ahead.
No points. It's just top 12 make it on. Period. Top
Okay.
12 make it.
So when you go to one of these qualifiers, let's just say there's isn't there a cap at each event
54,
or no?
54 players max at each of the qualifiers.
Wow,
It'll
so
be
your odds
very
keep
limited.
going up. Yeah. So 54 people are eligible to play on any given at one of the regional qualifiers, and then you need to just be in the top 12 of those, and then that will automatically.
Automatic. You'll get a month to sign up. The top guy of the 12 will get a free entry to go with all the stuff that happens, and the other 11 will get invites, and they'll have 4 weeks to sign up to the regional championship. And if they don't, we'll go down to the 13th spot, et cetera, until we have 12 from each area that will commit to attending the regional championship and having a chance to go on to the national.
And then
So it's not a point system. It's just you could actually make it to the national championship by playing 2 events.
Okay. And what's great about this is if you, depending on where you're located, you could certainly play in a regional event, and if there's one in another region the next day and you want to travel, you could go compete there as well, correct?
I see that. I see a lot of people saying I live by 2 or 3 regions and signed up for regional qualifiers in different regions and trying to qualify for 2 or 3 or 4 regional championships because they're all through the summer, and there'll be big tournaments throughout the whole summer, almost every week for the regional championship, and they're going to be great, huge tournaments. So even if you're not going to make it to the top 8, you're probably still going to want to participate in these. And so I see a lot of people saying, hey, if I go to 3 regional championships and qualify, I got a really good chance of making it to the national.
Okay. And now another great question on the board asks, is there going to be a consistent or regular entry fee for these individual regional events? And isn't there going to be a ridiculous
I can tell you right now that
pack?
we are finalizing the entry fee right now, but it will be less than $50 for the qualifier.
Damn.
Well,
and then a huge player pack.
118 events, $500,000 in in merch. I imagine those are going to be some pretty sweet player packs.
Yeah, it's $800,000 in total stuff. That's $500 just from Latitude.
Oh.
And wow, yeah, $800,000 in total merch. So yes, it's going to be huge. I mean, players packages in the first one, I'm not going to go over the details, but over 125%, and then they just keep climbing. By the time you get to the regional, it's almost unbelievable, and by the national, I've never seen a player package this good. I mean, I even say to Pat, really? And he's like, yeah, we're doing it. So, I mean, the package itself is multiple items over $100.
Wow.
Now, can we go ahead and release or talk about at all about the actual finals or the location?
Yeah, I can tell you it's in Arizona right now, and
Okay.
it's probably going to be in the Phoenix area. We'll release next week, probably to you the exact location. We have it, but we want to have a more of excitement and get them involved with the release. So they're going to do some social media. Hopefully, we can do some social media around it, and then come out and tell you guys. But look for it to be in Phoenix, Arizona area, and that's the reason we chose that is only because in November there's not a better place to play disc golf. I've lived there for 5 years. Sure, it's hot in the summer, and there's other bad times, but November, that's why you want to be there. So.
Absolutely. I look forward to that. I think the location should be pretty fun, and just the whole idea of these people, making it to that next level, getting onto the, from, local to regional and so on and so forth, and then just the sheer drama and madness of somebody making a final putt, whether it's a long one or a short one or whatever, the watching this unfold and then literally driving off in a car, that afternoon in November is going to be awesome.
And the important part to know is it's not just the winner takes the car. I mean, the prizes.
Oh, there's cars for all media too? Awesome.
No, but no, second, third, fourth, fifth, all the way down. The prizes are very big, huge things, and some of our partners are providing some unbelievable things, which we'll talk about next week.
Okay, very cool. Well, Dave, I think those are all the secrets we can spill for now.
Yeah.
But I think that sounds pretty awesome. There's a lot of people out here on the board that are incredibly jacked up about it, and there's probably a lot of people in positions like Johnny V and I are that are thinking, "Wow, that sucks. We're not eligible." But
I could petition to move down.
If it were up to me, I'd grant you
I'm trying
amateur
to tell you.
status. If it were up to me, I'd grant amateur status to you in a heartbeat.
That's good.
Yeah, you got my vote.
Yeah, I think you should come on down and play with us. It'd be fun. There's 3 qualifiers in Wisconsin, I can tell you that.
It would be fun. Well, Dave, Cynthia, we're gonna cut you guys loose. We're gonna catch up with Jake. We're gonna talk a little bit about his experience and some of the things that he's looking forward to here in 2017, and see what he's got going on. But we'll be talking to you more and more frequently. So we're honored, like so many other people lately have been, reaching out to Smashbox so that we can help present some big news and get the details out there for everyone. And we're really looking forward to this partnership and helping you guys out, and we're glad to do it.
Well, I want to thank you, Terry. You've been helping us from the beginning. I've known you since '97 when John was carrying your back against me. And I just want to thank John. I want to let you guys know I watched the show, and I think John is this personality really keeps me going. I love the whole Connor shot going.
God.
Let's stop right there. Let's just. We're done.
It's golden. It's golden, John.
Show's over. Show's over.
God, it's
Let's
over.
end on a high
I think
note.
it's permanently over.
And I look forward to talking to you guys next Tuesday.
All right,
That's
pal.
great.
See you guys. Have
All
a
right.
great night. Thank you.
Oh, Jake, I said hello. See you guys.
All right,
Bye-bye.
see ya.
Thanks.
Bye. Again, Dave, now have we talked about Dave's doing a lot of drinking then? If he's thinking you're,
Hey, like I said, the show can't get any better. We might as well cut it now.
Yes.
Let's just go to an after show.
Exactly. So again, we're excited to be talking about the Next Generation Tour. We're going to be doing it quite a bit. Of course, we have the Pro Tours and the World Tours and all these things going on. This is new and exciting, and there's no doubt that we'll have your updates, and we'll see what we can do to keep you guys as informed as possible. In just a few seconds here, we're going to see if we can get Jake on the line again. Jake is your champion from last year's tour. Maybe we'll get a few details as to how that unfolded in Colorado. I know it was dramatic.
Were you there?
I was there.
That's what I thought.
I was there for the start of that tour and the end of that tour. And now here we are going big time talking about 2017's tour. So very cool. Out on the board, we see a lot of action out there. AJ Risley, our favorite disc golf boy. Some people saying Dave Felberg keeping it real, having a good time out there. The Next Generation Tour is awesome. I certainly agree with that. All right. Well, I think we can welcome to the show for the first time. I think it's overdue.
It is well overdue.
Jake Peters, how you doing tonight, buddy?
Doing good, guys. Thank you for having me on. How you doing?
We're doing well.
Doing great.
I think.
Yeah.
Dave Felberg. Dave Felberg, a little okay. So Jake, and again, this was a little overdue. I think we had some timing issues last year as the Next Gen Tour wrapped up. But tell us a little bit about what that tour meant to you and how it unfolded for you last year when you were ultimately crowned champion.
It was crazy. I didn't actually know about it until the stop came through my state in California here in Kelseyville. A couple of buddies of mine were heading down. I hitched a ride, and Dave put on a show at the tournament, and I wanted to be a part of it. So I signed up for a couple more. I catched a red eye to head over to Delaware to Iron Hill. Got off the plane, went straight to the course in the rain and practiced. Came back and scratched and clawed my way on that course to, I think, finish at 6th. But the entire tour itself was unbelievable. Going back and forth between there and Oregon, battling with Cole Breck and Robert Craig was unbelievable.
Yeah, and well, as you speak to that one particular event on this massive course that chews people up and spits them out, the fact that you were traveling around the country, I think, speaks volumes about that tournament. And there were more people than I even realized were doing that last year to try and get more points to ultimately win or perform very well throughout. Was that a goal right as soon as you learned about it that, hey, I think I have a chance to win this thing overall and I'd really like to possibly win this trip overseas?
Yeah, I slept on it on the first night and I signed up as soon as I could, and I dedicated the rest of my time practicing to get ready, and I battled all the way through till the end. and literally. So
That's usually how long you have to battle. You can't give up like halfway through. It doesn't work that way.
Well, he couldn't let off the gas.
But it was a lot of fun. I had a great time. With Dave putting on his clinics on the lunchtime of the events. It was overall a great experience, and so judging by that tour last year, it's going to be even bigger this year.
So have you guys finalized? And Dave said one of the challenges with the grand prize, I know this, grand prize winner problems and all, but one of the challenges is the idea of, which tournament to possibly go to overseas, people's vacations, things of that nature. What ultimately did you decide upon in terms of your travel for the grand prize from last year?
I haven't made a final decision yet. I'm still trying to figure out my tour here in the U.S. I'm still going to do at least 20 events and do this year's Next Generation Tour and figure out which is a good country to visit in Europe. Find a big event and schedule my vacation with my girlfriend over there and visit Europe, fly back, and drive my new car back home.
I'll just tell you, you're a little late if you were going to go to Australia. I don't know. I think
that's not Europe. Last time I checked.
Oh, that's true. I was just thinking international travel.
Oh,
but either way. So you're going to decide what you're going to do. But now this year, Dave just explained some rules regarding amateur status, professional status. Where do you rank, and what's your plan? Did you just give us a hint on that?
Yeah, they're sending me over to play as a professional in whatever event I choose, and I will be playing amateur and pro events this year to kind of prepare myself for the highest competition possible, so I can become a better player overall. And besides that, I got some clinics scheduled for elementary schools in my home county here, about the 6-year-old, 7-year-old range. So between that and touring and trying to figure out where I'm going to go, I got a lot on my plate.
Wow.
So your plan is to be on the Next Generation Tour again, though, this year?
Definitely. A defending champ. Here I come.
So you want a trip and a car? I mean, come on. How greedy are you?
I know. Then he's going to be like, where's my cruise in 2019?
But what happens
if that boat's big enough, I'll drive my car on that cruise.
There you go. Bravo, sir. Bravo.
Wow.
I was just thinking, Dave had mentioned something about, maybe not being able to use your your flight to Europe. What happens if we have a European come and win the Next Gen Tour? How are they getting the car over to Europe?
It'll just have to be a
Beamer or something?
Yeah,
I guess.
Mercedes or something. So we're going to see you playing around. Now, when it comes to PDGA events, obviously we just talked about these not necessarily being PDGA sanctioned, but when it comes to PDGA events, Worlds, and things like that, is that kind of, do you align yourself with, or will you be, with the amateur Worlds, or what are some of the events that are on your radar?
Well, given Worlds is going to be in July, that's about when I'm looking to be heading to Europe at the same time. My birthday's in July, so I'm looking to do the biggest combo I can. If it works out, I'll do the regional championship. If I make that one, hopefully go to Worlds, go to Europe, all in one package. But we'll see. What
do you do for a day job? Or will you be transitioning at that point, quitting one job to do all this, then moving into a different one?
Yeah, we'll see if it works out. I work in healthcare here at my local hospital. I verify insurance, dabble with all that kind of stuff. So
okay.
It's a 40-hour-a-week gig. Keeps me busy and allows me to travel, so I don't mind.
No, it sounds like a gig that continues to pay as well, which is a good one to have, whether you're playing amateur or professional. Now, you're in California. What area did you say you're from, and where might people run into you on what would be one of the local courses for you?
So I'm in about as northern California as you can get. If you were heading from the Bay Area and you're heading straight up to Oregon, you're going to run through my town. I'm about 15, 20 minutes from the Oregon border.
Okay.
Smack dab in the middle of California. My home course is in Weed, California, College of the Siskiyous. The course is known as the University of Out of Bounds. A lot of roped OB, island holes, par fours, you name it, we got it.
Okay. And how old are you? Someone asked on the board.
Who asked that?
I don't know. He said he's your biggest fan, Jarrett.
Oh, well, Jared, I am 30 and a half.
30 and a half. All right.
30
Birthday in July. So what do you think about maybe I'll reword that right away. Last year had the 12 events. You decided how you're going to get to them. Do you feel like you maybe would have jumped on as readily when we saw, with the new transition this year, being that there's so many different events, but you really just need to perform well at one or two, as Dave was saying, to ultimately get you to the finals? I guess what I'm really asking is, what do you think about the format change?
I love the format change. I like the bracket format. If you watch March Madness, the cream rises to the top. So there's no points game, none of that stuff going on. You just straight up win, and I like that.
Okay, and I'll say, and you said it earlier, it was a battle to the end. I recall filming you guys on the lead card in Colorado, and at one point Dave came over to me, and I'm not sure if he shared it with you guys, but he came over and he said something in the middle of the round, a 27-hole round. There was a few point totals that I had calculated incorrectly before, and just so you know, here's where the points are at now. And it was like, okay, no pressure.
Wow.
Because, obviously he was coming all the way down to those final few holes, those final putts. Brian ended up going and winning that particular event, but then when it all shook out with where the leader originally was and he fell off from the series, and then how you finished there, like there was a lot of math going on. My head almost fell off.
Yeah, and with all that going on, besides the points, just the top five in that tournament, they had to do this and that, to come up with an overall score to be in second place, fourth place, fifth place. A lot had to happen besides my game in order for me to win by a stroke. So I just focused on just doing what I do, playing my game, and if it worked out, it worked out. If it didn't, it didn't. But when all came down to one stroke, I felt like, let's count these scorecards again. Let's make sure. But I'm happy the way it ended, obviously, and it was a time of my life.
Yeah, and I was thinking, I look at it in terms of some football playoffs where they're like, well, if this team wins and this team loses, and so on and so forth, like a lot of
seeding almost.
Yeah, a lot of different things needed to happen, and obviously to your benefit, things barely just worked out as they did. As you said, even as slim of a margin as one stroke made the difference for you to get the victory. Is there anything else you need to share with everyone that may be looking forward to seeing you here in the 2017 season? And where you're going to be and all those types of things. Anything you need to share with everyone?
Yeah, I'll be out there playing. Like I said, I'm trying to contact my local schools to run some clinics for the kids around here to open their doors to disc golf as a fun, healthy sport that's fun and competitive when they get older. Maybe if they want to go that route, they can. So I'm trying to open that door to kids that haven't learned about it yet. And they want to know about more details about this tour this year. Stay tuned with Latitude, and we'll keep you updated.
All right. Well, we appreciate the info. Again, long overdue. We're glad we could have you on, though, and this excitement for the 2017 season has everybody going, as we saw on the internet today. Was there any one comment or shocking thing that you read, whether it was in favor or disbelief or whatever? Was there anything that you read today when you were when this was getting blasted everywhere?
As far as what?
Yeah, the excitement or people thinking a car or anything like that. Was there anything out there that you either had to make a clarification on, or you helped, you stepped in and were able to provide some assistance or anything like that?
Oh, no, I kept my mouth shut.
You're like, I don't want anybody to play. It's just
Terry can learn a lot from you. Trust me.
That's a Dave Felberg question. I'll let him handle that.
All right, Jake. Well, thanks again for joining us. Congratulations, of course, on your success last year. And there's going to be a sizable X on your back. People are going to be coming after you this year because everybody wants to get in the way of you trying to acquire a car as you're moving through your 2017 season.
You got that target. That's
yes,
for
you
sure.
do. Well, thank you for joining us. Any sponsors or shout-outs you need to give before we let you go?
I just want to thank my new sponsor, Latitude 64.
Oh, that's convenient.
And, yeah, well, you know. And so that's about it right now. I'm looking to acquire some more this year, so stay tuned. Maybe this won't be my only visit to you guys' show.
We hope not, yeah.
You pulled down a couple nice wins, and we might have you back.
That's how we roll. All right, have a great night, pal.
Thanks, guys. You too.
Thanks.
See ya. All right, and as we said, I don't think we can call him a sandbagger yet. Now, if he destroys the tour this year,
then we might have some issues.
Then we might.
Do you know what his rating is? I didn't catch that.
I don't want to insult him by guessing 965, but we're going to do a super quick, thanks to PDGA.com, our friends over at the Professional Disc Golf Association. Jake Peters, PDGA, a simple Google search. PDGA number 40500. 956. What did I say?
You said 965.
Okay, so I transposed those. That's not too bad.
No, you got all three numbers right. Way to go.
Yes.
Go play the lottery.
That sounds good. And also to follow that up, he played in 3 open tournaments last year and then 19 amateur tournaments, winning one at the Salmon River Disc Golf Tournament in June.
I'll say this. Regardless of how he does this year, no one can call him a bagger.
No, correct.
So,
I agree.
So best of luck. One person who I do call a bagger, because I think he bags a ton of different types of plastic, Disc Golf Nerd.
Oh, he would.
Let's take a minute, and we're going to take a look at his newest review, the Innova Shrike.
What's up, Smashies? This month we're taking a look at the Innova G-Star Shrike. It's a high-speed distance disc from Innova. It is a nice flyer for sure in the G-Star plastic. The flight numbers on this disc, 13, 6, -2, and 2. I'd say those are pretty spot on. It's got a little bit of a dome to it for sure. It's not a terribly flat disc, but it's not really a big pop top either. I like the feel of it overall. It's got a good kind of basic profile. This particular one's 172 grams. In the G-Star plastic, I believe it's also available in regular Star plastic. I love the G-Star. I think it's one of the best blends that Innova puts out. I love the feel of it for sure. It's especially great for the winter time. We're all suffering through it right now. It's a really great plastic for that. In the colder temperatures, it still maintains a good grip and a good amount of flexibility. It doesn't get too slick and rigid in your hand like a Champion disc might feel a little bit slippery when it gets cold. The G-Star plastic holds up really well. In flight, this is a very straight flying disc. It's got some understability to it for sure, so it'll have that little bit of, flip up and ride to it, but you can get a very straight flight out of it overall as well. I have kind of a average to below average arm speed, and I think this thing is a good distance disc for me. I can get a nice flight out of it on a bunch of different lines. If I throw it up high, it'll hold a hyzer for me. If I throw it down a little hyzer, it'll flip up and fly very straight. Point to point. It doesn't have a ton of fade, which is a nice attribute for a high-speed disc. A lot of them really want to fall out once they slow down. If you have a big power arm, I think this would be more of a hyzer flip or big turnover type distance disc, but I think it's more designed and better suited for the average arm out there. Throw it on a little hyzer, get it to flip up, maybe ride out to the right and come back a little bit and stretch some distance. It's got a good blend of speed and glide to get big distance capability out of this disc. Well, that's it for my segment. Big thank you to Smashbox for having me be a part of the show. If you guys would like to see the full review of this disc, as well as over 100 others, plus disc golf tips and information, my little podcast, and lots of other disc golf related content, just search for Disc Golf Nerd on YouTube or Google. Thanks, guys.
All right, thanks, Disc Golf Nerd. We appreciate that. If you want a more thorough review, you can check out Disc Golf Nerd's YouTube page. So go ahead and look out for that, and you'll get he usually does some pretty nice, really long, in-depth ones, anywhere from 10 to 15 minutes. I'm not sure what this one is, but hopefully you'll go and check that out. So thanks a lot again, Disc Golf Nerd.
Thank you. Yeah, appreciate it. And someone was just asking on the board who, in fact, that was talking again. That is Disc Golf Nerd. Every once in a while, every few weeks or so, he'll be giving us a disc review, an in-depth disc review.
And that's because we don't do reviews. We don't have
Typically.
We don't have the time. We don't have the just every review is a little different. He goes in and does a really good, thorough review. I would just look at it and go, I threw it and it went near the basket, so it must be okay. Or I threw it and it hit 3 trees. I don't think that disc is very good.
He clarifies and said, dude, not that long.
Okay.
They're average around 6 minutes.
Oh, so. I thought I saw one that was like 10 to 12 minutes, but that could just be me. I when I peeked through your YouTube page a couple weeks back. So anyway, so yes, go check out the 6-minute reviews on those. One of the things I did want to bring up, we're running close to the end of the time of this, so I wanted to make sure it was brought up, was the Infinite Discs State of Disc Golf Survey. Infinite Discs, I think this is the 2nd or 3rd year in a row they've done this. If you go to infinitediscs.com/blog, I filled out some questions. There's about 100 questions. It took me all of, I think, 7 to 8 minutes to fill it out. It was pretty quick. Just going through and answering questions as far as what do you throw, what do you watch, whereabouts do you live, kind of some demographic stuff. And they're going to release, who your favorite players are. I saw that for the women, Paige Pierce is killing it right now as far as favorite players. But there was some question that nobody saw Madison on there. So I think there's a conspiracy to be had.
As there should be.
As there should be. But, if you go to infinitediscs.com/blog, you can take a look at their State of the Disc Golf Survey. It's kind of a nice thing for someone to kind of collect that information every year or so.
And nobody almost saw Madison in Australia. Some of you may have seen she posted to the Facebooks a few days ago saying her game plan of riding standby or being on standby to ultimately get over to Australia didn't start out so hot with and I experienced a little of that this weekend myself with some of the travels or inclement weather scattered throughout the United States that of course put other connector flights and hubs in jeopardy in terms of some of the scheduling. And so Madison didn't get out of town as quickly or easily as she had originally planned. Now she's, of course, in flight, or she may have now landed. Madison?
They're definitely there because she was on the same flight that Jomez was on,
correct.
and I saw Jomez doing some drone work while they were there. So I'm fairly certain Madison has landed, and they are all there. You know who is not there? Other than you and me?
Yeah.
Nicola Castro.
What? Why isn't Nico there?
Why isn't Nico there?
No, wait. He was on a plane. He was there.
He was on a plane. And that plane landed in Thailand.
Okay.
And when he got to Thailand, I believe they did like a demo there. They might have even had a small tournament as well.
Yeah, they played in a tournament.
And I know they did a demo. But what happened is, just like Paul Macbeth had told us about John Macbeth a couple weeks ago, Nico's visa was denied. So Nico was unable to go from Thailand to Australia. So he's going to stay in Thailand. If you follow him on Snapchat, which I think is like StayFly1 or something, you can find it out there. He kind of gives a general, he doesn't give a breakdown. He just more or less shows him sleeping in an airport, kind of upset that he didn't get a chance to get over there. Rumor has it that Australia is relatively strict with their visas. And Nico has had some legal issues in the past, so that's kind of what people are guessing. But it could be other things as well. It could be, from what I understand, if they find anything wrong on your visa, any incorrect statement, any incorrect anything, they will just flat out deny it. That Australia is relatively tough to get into for a visa. So there's no speculation. Well, I guess I did speculate.
I was just gonna say,
I did speculate
I'm not sure
on
you
why
know
it
what
was.
the definition of speculation is.
But there's no confirmation on why it was denied. I don't believe they told him. I just a denied visa.
Well, and I don't want to say it's cryptic, but in some form or another, UC had also made a post saying, "Hey, everyone, Nico's is going to be on his way back to the USA. He's not going to be playing in the tournament." I thought it was. And maybe that was him just also trying to get out in front of it and trying to make mention of it because there was a rumor circulating around. I was looking for it. I'm not sure if it was, in fact, a tweet or however at one point he had sent it. But I know UC, so to speak, addressed it or mentioned it head on, saying that Nico was not going to be at the event and he was going to be heading back to the U.S. and that they hope to see him at the next event in Conopiste. So, and now rumor had it, just since our podcast had been going on, that Avery was in fact doing some kind of live interview with Paige Pierce. I don't know.
Yeah, the disc
That's
golf.
what someone said here.
Yeah,
on
the
the
Disc
board.
Golf World Tour every day leading up to the event, which I believe starts for us technically Wednesday night, which would be their Thursday morning because they're past the international date line. They're doing, rather than like a prepackaged preview show, they're more or less doing 15 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes of live Avery. So
Okay.
they're filming it and they're showing it on Facebook Live, and he does an interview. Yesterday he interviewed Barsby and Jen Allen as well as UC, and today I heard he's in the middle, or maybe not now, but the Paige Pierce interview. His interviews don't usually last as long as ours.
Okay.
So yeah, so check that out.
Which
if you,
isn't saying much because we go on for hours.
we
and
do.
hours.
So check that out if you get a chance after we're done. Don't leave us.
No. You stay right here.
Don't change that dial. So yeah, so their Disc Golf World Tour is kind of prepping by doing some intro shows every day. I usually catch them the next morning when they're up to date. So
Yeah, and I've been traveling myself, so I haven't had a chance, but I've seen Avery a number of times with some posts out there, so I'm going to have to go out there and get caught up. As we know, an update since last week, Tuesday, it feels like it was so long ago. Paul Macbeth had called into our show, told us he was 99, he said, I'm 99% that I will not be going to the event, and literally within hours of that being said,
UC basically pulled some strings, made some moves, helped out with some travel, my understanding is, and got him over to Australia. He took a roundabout, not the way he was going. I believe he went the other way.
I
so
think
to
he
speak.
went DC, ultimately from DC over to San Francisco, and then ended up flying out that route.
He
And
circumvented the world the other direction than he had planned.
So did he gain a day or lose 2 days?
I'm
do
not.
not pass go.
I believe he didn't collect $200.
I was gonna say do not collect like $2,000.
No, I believe the airlines did that.
Yeah, exactly. So, but ultimately, Paul Macbeth over there, and funny how things can change. Like I said, it was 10:30 on our show when he said I'm 99% not going,
And then within hours, he was 99% going.
yeah, that's
That's
how
a
some
flip
of
of a coin.
Sometimes that's how some of those things work. Christian wants to know, what are the viewer numbers like for this week? They're great.
Yeah, well, on YouTube, it looks like we were just over right at 200.
20,000.
Oh yeah, 200 live viewers here, but we're also obviously on Facebook and Twitch. You can find us at. So if you're ever interested, you can go to those two platforms if you prefer one over the other.
All right. I haven't reached out to her lately, so maybe I should check in. I know Valerie Jenkins was going to give us a few of the details regarding the symposium for next week. As you may have heard us say earlier, we've partnered up, and basically we just want to be the the technology backbone.
That works real well sometimes for us.
Exactly. But we want to be the technology backbone just to help the symposium run as smoothly as it can. Valerie is going to be doing all of the emceeing, so to speak, and then she's got 4 great guests lined up that are going to talk about different subjects, and then it's all going to be archived just as if it were a regular podcast. So at some point...
So we don't need Val now? You just explained it?
No, I want her to give us a little bit more in-depth as to what I was rambling about.
Yeah,
So-
we're ringing up Val here. We'll as soon as she gets on, we'll
I don't think I gave her any heads up, so I'm going to say, hey... You there?
That's probably a good idea.
But we'll see if we can get her on here shortly. What else did we see in the news in terms of disc golf? I think Nico not competing is definitely one of the bigger stories, especially because he's there. My question immediately, as we talked about Paul with his travel woes last week, are those things you get refunded for, or do you have to pay like a ridiculous plane change fee when you ultimately can't get in? And again, I don't know any of the details really. So I'd love to know at what point was he made aware of it? I mean, do you land? I've only traveled to Japan a couple
Nico,
times,
you
and
mean?
and Norway. Yeah, sorry, but for Nico, do you land there and they say sorry, or did he have some premonition that he wasn't? Those are some of the things that I'm just genuinely curious to know.
One of the things that that people have been saying on the boards is I believe Jamie Thomas even mentioned that, for a visa, not every country is required to have a visa.
Okay.
Many are just required to have your passport basically. But because they're competing, they all do need to have a visa. Australia, I heard you may need to have a visa regardless of what you're doing. So that's why you do this stuff well ahead of time to find out whether or not you're going to be accepted your visa. According to Jamie, actually, Jomez and both Avery were very late in getting their visas, that it was almost a little bit of a question for one or two of them. So, but luckily, as we've seen, they're all there, and we're looking forward to some of the stuff that the Disc Golf World Tour is going to put out for us.
And that's a great segue, unintentionally. I got a lot of questions this week, rightfully so, because we are so frequently at big events, whether it's live with Smashbox or the Disc Golf guys doing video blog stuff. I've had a ton of people reach out and say, hey, what's going on? Where can I find it? Somebody, one of the comments, and I forget his name, so I can't even bust him out, said, hey, private messaged me today on Facebook and said, hey, will the Aussie Open be internetized, which I've never used it in a verb form like that. I think that's a verb. Will be internetized. And I had to read it 3 or 4 times. And then I said, oh, yes, if you're referring to film, yes, Jomez crew is there. There's 3 of them, and you're going to see that all in Spin TV's channel. So that's where you'll be able to get the action. A ton of people were asking me where and what's going on with the coverage. And quite frankly, we have nothing to do with the official coverage in any capacity. We're just passing along what we've seen and heard. So, all right.
They're busy setting up their shot right now. So we have.
I thought there was a ghost.
I almost said we have them on the line, but really, who we have on the line is one of our favorite female disc golfers. Not according to
No,
Infinite Discs.
She's one of our favorite females, not just disc golfers.
Well, in general, but like I said, not according to Infinite Discs.
One of our favorite disc golfers, not just female.
Just one of our favorite people.
I don't know.
Valerie
All right,
Jenkins.
that's enough. Okay.
Good one.
Thank you. Thank you. Hi.
Hello.
Hi. That's a very nice.
Talk.
That's a very nice backdrop you have now.
Yeah, I tested it out earlier today, and I got to add a few more to meet up to your guys' standards.
Yeah,
but
we've got
more.
You know who to reach out to? Miles over at Paragon Disc Golf, who's helped us with our backdrops. Thank you, Miles. Ching. No.
All right.
Send him an invoice.
Yes, give him a call. He'll help you out. So, Val, I kind of gave a quick rundown of what's going on, but give everyone some more eloquent details for next week. What's taking place?
All right. Well, I don't know if you talked about it, but we did a little test run today because you guys are helping us out tremendously by helping us produce the very first PDGA Women's Symposium. So that might be a new word to some people, but basically it's a conference of, what are you guys laughing about? I see you.
Nothing.
Oh, all right. So it's basically a conference. So we'll have 4 speakers. And it'll be run much like this show. So like right now I would be giving a presentation, and we have, like I said, 4 speakers talking about 4 different topics. And we'll have the opportunity for you guys to tune in, go to the chat board, ask questions, and then I'm basically the MC. So I'll be doing the introduction, and then after our speakers talk, there'll be that opportunity for the Q&A session from all the viewers or people that have asked questions previously on our Facebook page. So it's going to be really exciting. So I guess I didn't mention our speakers, but maybe that was your next question.
Val, who are you thinking about having on this for the symposium next weekend or next week?
Well, so to round out our group, we have Zoe Andike, who we were just discussing is going to be our hype girl. So she's starting off the symposium by talking about clinics. Something she's really passionate about is teaching youth clinics. And so that's what Zoe's going to focus on during her presentation. And then we'll have 2 members from the Women's Committee. We'll have Jenny Sanfilippo, who will be talking about women's leagues, how to attract, encourage, and retain participants in women's leagues. And then the other member from the Women's Committee is Erin Oakley, and she will be talking about women's tournaments, how to attract, encourage, and retain those participants. So those are awesome. And then to round out our group, we have Sarah Hokum, who will be talking about I think this is going to be really interesting because she is going to talk about history of women in sports. So she's going to reflect on all sorts of sports, tennis, basketball maybe, any other women's sports, and relate, to the struggles that they've had and, things that they've learned, and we can relate back to disc golf. And so hopefully that can make an influence on, how we foresee the future of women's disc golf.
And,
so really interesting.
And so where can people watch this, Val?
Well, I guess you guys would probably have the better answer, but I think it's right here.
It will be. We'll be hosting it on our Facebook, Facebook. We'll be probably hosting it on the women have a Facebook group, right? Correct?
Yeah, the women's, or Disc Golf for Women. There's a number of different places that we could put it directly on Facebook, and then we'll be streaming it right here to our regular
to our YouTube
page,
Live.
and then either it'll be recorded or also streaming live on the PDGA's YouTube page, which doesn't get a whole lot of play, which was one reason why we stepped up and said, hey, we have a large subscriber base.
Yep.
Let's try to get this out to as many people as possible. And that was kind of how things, the conversation started going. So
it did.
It's going to get out there, and like all of our podcasts and all of our broadcasts, it'll all be archived, so people will be able to go back and watch it and listen to it. And then Val will also be able to put it into a podcast, an audio podcast format. You may lose a few of the specifics when it comes to graphs and charts and things that are being showed in a presentation. But if somebody wanted to just download and listen to it like any old podcast, they'll be able to do that as well.
We'll release it as that. We're going to make a local copy of it and probably put it on some other YouTube pages. We'll put it out on the Disc Golf Girl? Probably, that's maybe how the PDGA can get it. It'll be out there. Everyone will be able to find it.
Lots of places. But Val, I think as you're doing the moderating and the emceeing, one of the great things about this is people that are tuned in live, men or women that are tuned in, are also going to be able to ask questions, and then you're going to assemble the questions and then have a little Q&A at the end of each section with each of the presenters, correct?
Yep, exactly. And that was one thing I was going to ask you about. And I am actually a person that just watches most of the chat that goes on during your podcast. So I don't know. I'm hoping some of these moderators, right, they're the people with the wrenches, hoping some of these people will tune in and help us moderate some of the I saw that somebody was blocked or banned tonight, so
just
hopefully...
Kevin McCoy.
Just Kevin McCoy. He needed a little timeout.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah,
okay.
He started talking Packers, and I had my heart hurt, so he just needed a quick timeout. It's okay.
Yeah, that makes sense. I understand.
Not that we have any unfair
hopefully
bias.
Those moderators will help us out. And
Yes.
if Kevin gets on our symposium and says something out of line, those moderators will be there.
Well, let's put it this way. We once recently broadcast at midnight on New Year's Eve, and we had like 60 or 70 people show up. I think Wednesday at what time is it going on at?
Yeah, what time is it scheduled for? That's a good question.
5:30 Pacific.
5:30 Pacific.
So 7:30 Central.
7:30 Central. I think we'll have a fair number of
7:30
viewers
Central.
for that. So
8:50 Eastern.
correct.
Yes.
So I think our moderators will be in full force. If there's anyone that we need to add as a moderator during the thing, we can do that as well. We'll be set.
Awesome. Yes, so we're really excited. We get to talk to some of the ladies, some of the speakers tonight, and yeah, all of their topics are really entertaining, and I think it's going to be a really good time. Yeah, like I said, this is the first of its kind, so this will be like the test run and see how it goes, and hopefully we'll run more of these in the future. And yeah, like you were saying, there's going to be a lot of the information out there. It's going to be archived. We will be putting all the resources also on pdga.com/women, and so you'll be able to find all the symposium information there. And then our Facebook page that Sarah Nicholson runs tirelessly to put amazing posts out there is PDGA Women. So be sure to follow that. You can find our event page on there and find all the information you need. Just hope you tune in on February 1st. It's going to be awesome.
I would like to follow that up and say one of your presenters wasn't able to do some testing with us, and that's Zoe. She's going to be talking about clinics and getting people involved in teaching and such. And now we found out, she sent me a message as well just a little while ago saying, "Oh, sorry guys, I can't test. I'm staying extra time here in Hawaii because they've convinced me to stay and do some clinics. So rough. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we made fun of her hard, but yeah, like there's bad connection when there's all the palm trees and coconuts and like the ocean breeze. You can't really get a good internet connection.
Yeah.
I understand.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't sit
Zero sympathy coming from us.
Yeah, don't sit in it. Sit
right.
under any coconut trees.
Yeah, considering we're supposed to get a dusting of snow tonight, and just a little west of us, they're talking 7 inches. So, I'm sorry, Zoe. My heart does not go out to you this week.
Yeah, but you can't feel bad for her. I
No.
mean, they offered and they wanted her to stay an extra weekend. That's something you cannot say no to. So
Exactly.
when she couldn't come to our test today, I was like, don't even worry about it. Go drink out of a coconut. Go eat some pineapple, some poke, and
go
we'll see you on Thursday.
Go teach some people some disc golf.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
really.
So tomorrow, she is actually, I think she's flying to Maui tomorrow. She's going to teach a clinic, and then immediately after, she's going to go Facebook Live, which is going to be a new thing for Zoe, so I'm wishing her luck. But she's going to go Facebook Live. She's going to basically discuss what she's going to talk about on the symposium, talk about what she's doing there in Hawaii. So if you guys have questions for her, I recommend going to her Facebook page, watching that Facebook Live video, because that's going to be entertaining. Zoe's always got something good to say.
She does. And now, you said earlier that if all goes well, you're hoping to do these more frequently. Could you see these every quarter, or maybe every 6 months or something like that? Or have you not thought about any specific?
I'm thinking more of like maybe twice a year.
Okay.
It's so hard to get something like this going, especially when the season starts up and there's tournaments, constantly happening, and you're having to travel from one to the next, which is basically what pushed us so far. We started this plan, I would say probably May or June. We started discussing this idea, and we wanted to run them at AM Worlds, Women's Nationals, just to create this kind of meeting of women. We knew there'd be a bunch, at those tournaments, and it just developing the ideas and trying to organize something like that in these towns that I'm not really that familiar with. But then it got us to where we are now to run it virtually, which I think is the best idea, and now reaches so many more women across the world, and having so many more people tune in, I think it's going to really add to the content and make it much more substantial, and I think it's a good move. So I'm very happy with the virtual side of this.
Good.
Well, and that's one of the things we saw for many years at the PDGA World Championships. We're having some kind of roundtable discussions and meetings and such, because it was a time when people are getting together. But as we know, the Worlds is also a whirlwind of activities and things going on, and then of course high-level competition. And I think some of those eventually kind of faded out. But now in this virtual world, it's so much easier for us to make things happen, and for the whole world to be able to watch at once. Is very exciting, of course, as well. So Hannah Croak says she's tuning in, and I know
you better, Hannah.
She better.
Somebody had said, Cool One, actually, on our board, made a good comment. He said, if everyone on here just gets one woman to sit and watch, hey, bring in someone new.
That's like
what,
40,000.
20 viewers?
Yeah.
Oh, wait, how many people are watching right now?
174, according to my number, just on YouTube.
And I thought it was 20,000. I said before, so that's why I said 40 now.
Oh well, I'm sure the numbers it's got to catch up.
Yes.
It's rattling so hard. So
for sure. So well, it's very exciting. How much does this cost everyone to watch? Is there a pay-per-view or?
I think it's free, but there's
now.
some sort of donation that you guys accept because you guys do such awesome work. So I know they can donate to you somehow, but
they can,
I
but
wish
we
you'd
don't. We
tell
don't
us how
want.
they
not-
do that.
No, we don't want it
not for this.
Not
Oh,
for this.
alright.
We don't want it.
if you want to donate, do it for other reasons. We're doing this because we believe in the cause and we're a big fan of the PDGA. So we want to volunteer our time and effort. It's the least that we can do.
Well, no, you've done least.
Well,
less
I've
before.
done less, but it's the least I can
Oh
do
yeah,
for
I
this
saw
situation.
you, Terry. You were sitting there twiddling your thumbs while Johnny's trying to figure out how to produce this symposium.
Yeah.
I saw who really works over there.
That's because I was letting him figure it out. I knew, and I was just like,
thanks.
"There's no
Thank
better
you,
way
Terry.
to learn
Thank
than
you.
for you to figure it out on your own." Come
There
on.
we go. That's
Anyway,
nice.
all right, Val. Is there anything else you need to share with us here tonight? Oh, there is. Isn't there? there's the exclusive you were going to give us. You have a new sponsor, a new major disc manufacturer sponsor. You want to break news tonight, right?
Maybe another time.
Ah, darn it! I thought I was going to trick you into that one. I set her up, Johnny. I thought I had it.
You know, she almost let it slip.
So, are you still? Is it fair to say you've had a few people reach out regarding that topic in conversation?
Yes, I have. Yeah, it's been interesting. Like since I dropped the bomb on what day is the 9th, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've been so overwhelmed with so much positivity and so many people reaching out, sponsors, different disc companies, disc stores, and people really like genuinely want to know how they can help women's disc golf. So it's been just amazing talking to all these people and doing the networking between all these different companies that I don't think I've had any conversations with these people before. So yeah, I thought it's been a really fun couple of weeks. Very busy, but yeah, we're dialing into something. So I'll be sure to let you guys know on any breaking news.
Awesome.
All right. Is that at all a concern? I know you said when you left that you weren't leaving, even with another sponsor in mind or anything like that. Do you feel like it's really a necessity or a concern that by any point this year you have a major manufacturer?
My biggest thing was that, I wanted more equality for men and women on these teams. If they're going to support men at one level and women at a much lower level, I just don't think that's fair. And so I want a sponsor that is willing to step up, willing to pay their professional, their top athletes the same. So that's what I really am asking for. And so, we'll see what company wants to step up once they make that bold statement. And, I hope from that statement, all the other companies want to brag and say how well they treat their women. So you can only hope that it catches on.
All right. Well, that's fair. And like you said, if somebody comes to Val's terms, then it will say a lot about that company.
Well,
though.
and you know she's picky. Look at who she married.
Ah, that guy.
That guy.
Aw.
Wonderful man.
He is pretty good.
Well, we look forward to hearing about your journey, and we are seeing. I will say, it's gotten a little annoying seeing your picture everywhere on Facebook because everybody's changed their profile picture to you.
Every
so
time
now
I
it's
look
like,
at
who's
someone-
talking? Is that Val? Damn it!
I have to look because I used to just browse through the thing. I'm like, wait, that's not Val.
That's some guy
No.
somewhere else.
I know there's been so many posts that I feel like I made the post that I have to read it, and I'm like, wait, what?
Did I type that?
I do use that photo for a couple different of my accounts, so it's been very confusing. But yeah, I love the support and the idea behind it. It's awesome.
That's great.
Awesome. All right. Well, thanks for joining us. We look forward to finalizing the testing and then making this thing huge next week. I can't wait till this live symposium blows away like 10 times any live viewership we've ever had for a podcast.
I'm sure it will.
And I truly hope it does.
So happy with that.
All right, Val.
Me too.
Yes.
Awesome.
Well,
I'll
thank you.
see you, Johnny, on Thursday.
Yes, you will.
But I'll see the rest of you on February 1st.
That's right.
Yes, they will.
I don't know, Terry. I might see you on Thursday.
Whatever.
Yeah, we'll
Talk
see.
to you later.
Later.
Thank you, Val.
Thanks, guys.
All right. See ya.
Good night.
And again, our 4-time world champion, Valerie, giving us the rundown. Not having as good of a week as Val. I'm going to throw out the name. And maybe he caught a little of himself, the big germ.
Yeah, I've seen on a couple Facebook posts that he was laid out,
Yes.
sick, and the only picture I saw was him laying on a couch, I believe, with like his tongue hanging out. That he looked ill. So he's been all over our boards saying, "Breaking news, breaking news, breaking news." He reached out to you, Terry.
He did, and he didn't tell me not to share it, so I'm assuming this was for public consumption.
He said it was up to you to share.
There was nothing, I feel like that. He said, and this comes from Big Germ, he says, suffering a terrible flu. I've been in bed for 3 days. I'm going to the ER shortly.
Wow.
Another one, 99% not going to play in the Aussie Open.
Wow.
going to try and feel better by next week to play in New Zealand.
Wow. Like, I mean, and I hope, much like Paul Macbeth, that 1% turns into 99%. Maybe he gets to the hospital, they give him something, an IV.
Gatorade.
Gatorade. An IV
got
of Gatorade.
electrolytes.
An IV of Gatorade.
As everybody says.
Yeah, the electrolytes. And maybe he can make a recovery, but I can't imagine if you haven't been playing or practicing for 4 or 5 days that you're going to feel like you're in competition shape. So that's really, really unfortunate.
Yeah, I think did we also see on the board talking about temperatures? We've seen a number of players post. Obviously, again, it's their summer over there. Things are very warm. I remember Nate and Val and others talking about the 100+ degrees it was a few years ago when they were there, and I think we've seen a number of those posts as well. So, of course, as the whole board is saying, hope that Big Germ is feeling better. That can also segue right into a legitimate question here, Johnny. People are wanting to know about fantasy disc golf, where it's at this very moment. Is Aussie Open a consideration, and all of those types of things?
We're still working on that on the finalized website. The original website from last year is up and running. You can participate in the Aussie Open picks if you'd like. If you want to go to skipace.com. You can, if you're not currently a member, you can sign up. Otherwise, you can use your credentials from last year. Everything is still the same right now. It's not going to be part of the big tour, so to speak, the season. The season I'm going to start for Gentlemen's Club Challenge, and it will run through the Hall of Fame Classic. Right now, I believe I have 20. I put a list out there of about 20 to 22 events that are pretty much going to make it in there for sure. And then throughout the year, occasionally like an A tier will pop up that all the pros show up at, and it's a good one to pick. But usually I don't like to put ones out there that are only like, hey, look, you have 3,000 rated players.
Sure.
It just there's not the competition, there's not the draw for that. I'm not against it if it's a big enough event, and depending on who the players might be. So we're looking at doing that.
So would it almost be fair to say that if somebody wanted to participate this weekend and go out to Skip Ace and all that stuff, you could almost treat it kind of like a practice or a warm-up weekend?
Yes,
until...
exactly. It'll kind of maybe get you familiar with the site a little bit, because the site isn't going to change much. We're just adding a few features. We're going to hopefully add a rating system, and so that you can only pick, because right now the way it works is you just pick the top 4 players you think are going to finish, and then the female. What we're going to do is we're going to throw a ratings in there, and we're going to give you points based on where your player finishes. So if they finish based on like how many people they beat, and you'll get points for each player. So that's the way we're going to have it right now. Though, just go and pick your top 4 players, and then your top female player, and we'll work from there.
And then, again, on the board asking about, will we have Yuli's picks? Yes, we're absolutely looking forward to having Yuli back on the show, talking to us and going back and forth regarding the picks that Johnny V was just referencing. And I think he's doing some other little podcast thingy that some people have tuned into, maybe? I don't know. But I know he's going to join us, and
Yuli. I thought you were talking about me, and I'm like, no, I haven't done anything.
No.
Yuli will be joining us this year, and we will be doing. I think what we're going to do is last year I did. I did it on a spreadsheet, which worked out okay. I think I may want to move that to Yuli's picks, maybe over to Skip Ace, and we'll do a ratings based pick. We'll do with the salary cap. And actually, you know what? We'll figure out what we want to do for salary cap, because I have the option to set like no salary cap versus a salary cap. So we'll talk with Yuli about it to figure out exactly how we're going to do our Yuli's picks. Maybe we do just want to do a top 4 like we have been.
Sure.
So,
and it might be something a little different that's kind of just for the show.
Just for the show. But we will allow users to come into our league and play just like that. So it'll be fantastic.
And
it'll be huge.
Hannah Croak's out on the board, still helping out from afar. She told Big Germ that if he can take some charcoal briskets, that if he has those, he should be all healed up. So just a little tip from someone who knows health and wellness and fitness.
Do it while you're upside down.
Yeah, some
Stand
charcoal
on your head.
briskets is
charcoal
all big.
Briskets.
That's all that he needs. So can we do the Patreon so that he can go to bed? Not yet, Jake.
Jake, we're going to do the Patreon and the after show where we always do it. Remember,
That's how
just
we roll.
you don't have to be up to win. We're going to send it to you no matter what. You don't have to be present to win.
And
But
you
thank
will get
you.
an email notification
Yep.
regarding you winning something. So, again, Big Germ, big hug to you, buddy. No one likes the idea that you're over there all the way on the other side of the world.
Yeah, do you think
and
he's
not
sick
feeling
because
well.
he's upside down?
It could be. I said that I was a little frustrated because in some of the picks that I had him taking top 10 at that event. I know I was kind of going out on a limb, but I had him in the top 10.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure that it's going to happen. So
Yeah, I don't know either.
anyway. Oh, briquettes. No.
Anyway.
Oh, yeah. I called them biscuits. That's funny because that's what, I don't know if it was my dad or it was my uncle that always referred to charcoal. He's like, throw some more biscuits in there.
Yeah. I maybe it's a regional
Maybe
thing.
I was just
I've
gonna
heard
say
that too.
I was just going to say that.
I've heard
Maybe-
it too.
Maybe it was a regional thing. All right. So some sweet tips for Big Germ in terms of his health, and we hope that it gets better. So going to the ER is what he said. I wonder what they are going to do for him. Well,
Hopefully give him something and then maybe an IV so he feels up to snuff. Anyway.
all right. Do we have anything else that we need to worry about covering at the moment here in our regular show? Has there been anything else on the interwebs?
I haven't really seen anything. We've covered all pretty much the news this week. So
I guess what I'll go ahead and real quickly talk about this weekend, I was in fact in Sims, Alabama, and for the geography people out there, that is about 15-20 minutes northwest of Mobile. And you know Mobile, I know Mobile
Yep.
from, I now have to say 20 years ago.
oh my god.
From nearly 20 years ago when we were down there for various spring breaks playing in the City of Mobile Championships. And it was one of those places that you had to get out a book, because that's where courses were located, was in a spiral-bound book, thanks to PDGA. And it was the only solution, and that's where they had write-ups as to, everything you see for the online course directory used to not be online. It used to be hard copy in a book. And Mobile had like 6 or 7 or 8 courses. They had just gotten a few new ones, and it was truly a mecca for disc golf. If you wanted to go to one area and be able to play a ton of disc golf, you could play like 8 courses within a half hour or 45 minutes. Now there are pockets like that literally in dozens or maybe even hundreds of places around the country. But at that time, to have 8 courses within, say, a half hour or 45 minutes was a really big deal. And they were almost all 18-hole courses, if I recall. So Mobile had this great place, still has this great place for disc golf. Just north and west of there, John Houck has installed what is his 100th disc golf course.
Wow, 100 courses.
So in that sense alone, it's obviously monumental. Many of you know John Houck as possibly the industry leader, or if you don't consider him the industry leader, you definitely put him in the top 1, 2, or 3 in terms of course designer, probably depending on your preference of course play. And put in the 100th course, him and his wife Dee had worked with the city. It's a beast of a course. I want to say par 65, 66, somewhere in that neighborhood if I recall. I know it was more than 8,000, somewhere between 8,000 and 8,800 feet, depending on which scorecard I looked at. Very challenging, very tough course. Multiple tee pads. It was absolutely great to be there. Some great play, and I filmed some of the opening ceremony and dedication type stuff, and then also the final round that took place. It was a C tier, so there was a morning round and an afternoon round. I got the entire afternoon round. The leader card, I filmed that shot by shot, and looking forward to getting that footage out. So that was pretty cool. Congratulations to John. I had a great dinner with both John and Dee on Friday night. Great to talk about things within the industry and the history and everything they've done and accomplished, and they're just amazing people. So congratulations to them. And then right away I turned around on Sunday, and as we've mentioned, I made it from New Orleans over to Phoenix, where Chris Cobb picked me up. And then the Maricopa Meadows Open took place. Dave Felberg was running that 27-hole layout, which is located, for lack of a better term, I'll call it almost like a subdivision, but really unique situation. It's part of the homeowners association in that these holes essentially are in people's backyards or play
Wow.
along people's backyards. Now, there's a wall everywhere, which is always going to be OB, and there's some other things denoting OB, including the road and the sidewalks. But if you watch the video last year, you're going to see a lot of similar holes with a few changes. But 27 holes. There was a great battle. An over par round, or was there only one under par round? I'm sorry. I think it was an over par round by Pete Ulibarri was rated 1019 on Saturday, because when I wasn't there, when I was in Alabama, they were having 30, 40, and 50-mile-an-hour gusts on
Wow.
Saturday. So I think Pete was at or near. Now, I apologize. He was leading the tournament at that point before I had arrived, and he shot, I'm going to find it real quickly just for Saturday. He shot an 87 first round. Par's 81. Yeah.
He shot an 87. So 6 over par was.
No, now the run ratings. Oh yeah. Oh, now seems. Oh, I'm sorry. He did not shoot an 87. I'm sorry. Pete Ulibarri. Sorry, he shot a 2 over par, an 83, and it was rated 1019. Sepu Payu was there, Preston Johnson, Paul Ulibarri was there. So Pete leading as I showed up on Sunday, and he had shot a 2 over par, and it was rated 1019, and the wind was just insane. On the flip side of that, Katrina shot a 10 over par to open up on Saturday. She shot a 10 over, and it was still rated 975. So she shot a 10 over. It was 10 points above her regular rating, and it was, at 975. So some serious win. Got the final round, and we'll get that produced, and everyone can enjoy that as well. Good stuff. So thanks to Chris. Thanks to Philip. Thanks to Dee and John. And thanks to everyone this weekend. I managed to get 3 or 4 segments in on Southwest, thanks to Southwest. I got a couple segments in for the year, and got a lot of good footage, and now I'm just getting home to get started on editing everything. So give me a little bit of a breather. I think, I'm going to say this, I think I may have set a record. I can't think of, I know I haven't, traveled a further distance between 2 sets of round coverage in consecutive days.
Okay, yeah. I mean, you traveled probably like
Alabama,
2,000 miles.
yeah, Alabama to Arizona in 2 separate days for 2 separate round coverages. I mean, I've filmed at one event, and then a couple days later was on the in another country or something. But literally back-to-back days, a few thousand miles apart. So I don't know. Maybe somebody's got a better record, but
Yeah, I'm sure they do.
no, they don't. I'd love to hear it, honestly, and it's not. I don't think I'm getting any Guinness Book of World Records, but
No,
Maricopa. I'm
right.
gonna look it up. You stall while I look this up because I
No,
want to know how many miles it is.
I don't know. I don't really. This is why people say we ramble, because you're doing internet searching.
I just want to know how many miles.
1,600. Okay, way to go. All right,
I want a cookie.
you should have got one on the flight. Let's wrap this up.
All right.
We'll get into some after show stuff, and we'll do some talking, and we will we'll see what we can do here.
Ooh, a special shout out for Keith coming. All right, folks. This has been podcast number 128. We of course would like to thank Dave Felberg along with Latitude 64 for introducing the second iteration of the Next Generation Tour. We'd like to thank Jake Peters for joining us, the champion of last year's tour, looking to repeat here in 2017. We'd also like to go ahead and thank Valerie Jenkins for giving us information on next week's Women's Disc Golf Symposium, presented by herself, the rest of the crew, along with the PDGA and Smashbox. We're excited to bring you guys that when we can. So for Johnny V and myself, Terry Miller, the Disc Golf Guy, thanks for joining us here on Podcast 128. Stick around for the after show. We've got giveaways and shout-outs. We'll see you then when you step inside the Smashbox. And welcome back, everyone, to the Smashbox TV After Show for podcast number 128.
Or as I like to call it, the laundry break.
The laundry break.
You still haven't got your laundry machine, your washer and dryer fixed.
No, the dryer's not broke.
Dryer's not, just the washer. So Terry, during podcasts, comes over here, does a load of laundry, and then
it works out well. It's really not broke. I just want to do laundry for free.
just charging my water. So before the show, he puts in his wash. During the break, he quick runs over there, changes it because it's all of like 40 feet away, and then comes running back. So, oh, Terry.
What we got to do, as I was telling Johnny, I was on hold for an hour and 29 seconds yesterday or the day before, working with my Sears warranty people. Who's like, "Oh, did you get that part that we had to get there?" I'm like, "Nope, no part. So you guys haven't scheduled it to fix it." "Oh, well, let me transfer you," is what she said. Well, an hour and 29 seconds later, there was still no live person on the phone. So I hung up. So I don't know how much longer this is going to drag on. It's quite ridiculous. I'm not sure I can give a glowing review for my Sears home warranty.
You want to go over and grab those 2 items over there real quick?
I guess I can.
Yeah.
Well, then they're going to see I'm not wearing pants. They're in the wash.
He's wearing pants. Yeah, see, they could catch just the bottoms of them, thank God. Yeah, sure. I'm not sure which one we'll give away.
Oh, well, how about they get their choice?
All right, that sounds good. All right, so tonight's Patreon giveaway, we'll be giving away your choice of either this Innova Mystere. It is a 171 Innova Disc Golf Mystere, 11.6, -22 if you care about the numbers. Or this XL Innova t-shirt. So you'll have your choice. And these aren't product placements. These are literally things I've had here. I think I might have got them in a player's pack.
Yes, from the great Mike Cousins at Sandy Point Resort. Now that's a product placement.
That's a product placement. That's a good one. So we're going to give away your choice of one of those, and we will ship that to you, whichever one you want.
Sometime.
Yeah. So right now there are 69 patrons.
How many has that increased since last week, Johnny?
I believe it's about 7.
I was going to say 6 or 7. Sounds
6 or
about
7.
Right.
So, and as always, I sort them by first name. So every time we get a new person, the numbers all change. I go to what's known as random.org, where we put the numbers between 1 and 69. If you'd like to be part of this, you can go to patreon.com/smashboxtv. Just $1. That's all it takes.
That's all it takes. And before he does that, I'm going to go ahead and let you know that I'm working with Miles over at Paragon Disc Golf, and going to be ordering a number of additional Smashbox TV shirts.
Oh, good. So we'll have some of those maybe to
We'll
give
have
away.
a few to possibly give away, or a lot to definitely sell. So
Just the other day, I wore my As Seen on Smashbox TV shirt. So.
Exactly. So we're gonna. And I think this may even be a new design that's coming
that's
down the pipe for us. So thanks to Miles at Paragon. I think we're still paying for them, but we do appreciate all the support.
Do you want to hit the generate button this time?
Oh my gosh, I so do.
I know.
Between
Look,
1 and 69. I'm going to do it left-handed.
Number 25.
25.
Let's
You
see
know, we should do this like we have to do it on the Facebook pages, and we should be showing.
We should, but
Because that'd be a simple drag over for you. wouldn't it?
yeah, I could probably do it pretty easily, but I just haven't.
Look
the
for
winner,
that new feature next week.
Ooh, the winner of their choice of either the Mystere or the XL Innova T-shirt, Javon Copley. Javon, Javan, Copley, or Copley. Either way, congratulations, Javon. You are going to be getting an email from us where we will ask you which one of those you want, and you can then let us know. If you happen to be international for some reason, I know there's 1 or 2 in there, we'll figure something out. But thank you very much for being a patron. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. Yes, or it could be co-play.
Whatever.
Play. I don't know.
Coldplay?
That's what I was thinking at first. All right. A few things. For those who don't know already, the after show is typically become, first and foremost, a great place for us to do our giveaway if you're a Patreon supporter. So thank you guys very much for that. But then also we just kind of ramble about things that may or may not include disc golf topics. Sometimes we get way off tangent and don't even reference disc golf in any capacity. It may or may not be your thing, but of course we'd love for you to join us and provide any feedback that you have. We do interact with our live chat board that much more frequently in terms of give and take, and that's found on YouTube. So that's what you can get if you're
almost no questions
live.
Off limits. Last week we talked about whether or not people drink their milk out of from their cereal when they're done with it.
I've got another one.
Oh,
I haven't taken this to Facebook yet.
All right.
Uh,
I'm all ears. I'm
kind of surprised by what the internet has told me on this. I'm very surprised, honestly, and that's why. Here it is. How to phrase this one? I don't want to say is it okay, but how many people feel it is okay to share a toothbrush
no
with your significant other?
No, not unless it's an emergency.
Married, serious boyfriend,
like
girlfriend.
I don't have a problem with it. I've done it.
Life partner, whatever. But share,
like
on a more than rare occasion,
no.
even rare.
No,
I'll go there.
No, it's not that it's gross. There's no point to it. Like, ultimately, why? Toothbrushes, you get them when you go to the dentist. Go to the dentist, folks. You can get them for like probably $1 at the grocery store.
You can get 6 for $1 at the dollar store.
Yeah. Don't share them. Like, I've shared a significant other's toothbrush. Never my wife's, actually. Before my wife. And
there was a time before your wife. Don't say that.
Shh. Don't tell her. She's upstairs. But no, there's no point.
So here's the crazy part.
Like,
it is an astonishing, like 90. I don't think I've seen it yet. Like 99% of the board are saying no, no, no. It's gross. No, no, no. Google it, and it will tell you that up to 50% of people don't think it's a big deal.
It's gross.
I don't disagree.
But I'll say this: the way my bathroom is laid out, we have the sink where we have a cup full of toothbrush. They used to be on the right-hand side. Right underneath them was the garbage can that we have in our toilet, usually filled with Kleenex or whatever. There's been multiple times where I've accidentally dropped my son's toothbrush in the garbage there and just picked it up, rinsed it off, and put it back. Because ultimately, it's really just usually Kleenex or whatever. But if mine had dropped in there, I probably would have got a new toothbrush because we have like 12 of them in our little cabinet. So,
he's got a young immune system or something.
Yeah, he's only 7, so he'll get over that. What he doesn't know won't hurt him.
Yeah, well, again, the conversation can stem around, I forgot my toothbrush. Is one time okay? Or let's just throw out a number. Once a year. If a significant other, a spouse, whatever, had to use your toothbrush just once per year.
That's fine.
But you just got done saying it's gross.
It is gross, and I wouldn't recommend it on a regular basis. But if it had to happen, if you're like, oh man, I dropped my toothbrush in the toilet. I'm at a hotel. My wife's there. I don't have another toothbrush. I'm gonna probably rinse it off in some hot water, put toothpaste on it again, and then brush my teeth probably as quickly as I can. Not that it matters, because once it's in your mouth, I don't think it really matters. And then rinse it off. And I don't know if I would tell her.
Okay. One of the people from the study, funny you say that, one of the people in the study that I was reading said someone could tell the next morning by their own breath if their spouse had used their toothbrush.
Wow. Maybe if you had different toothpaste, but
that's what they had said, is that they could tell themselves. Ryan on the board says, I couldn't care less if someone uses my toothbrush. So, Ryan, one of the few, I'll say, people disagreeing
and
with the rest of our viewers here.
Other than my wife, Terry has probably been the person I've spent the most time with in my life. We've traveled, we've been housemates, we've lived together, whatever. I've never used his toothbrush, and I don't believe he's ever used mine.
Nope. Of course, well, maybe not of course. I am of the in the camp of never.
Yeah.
Of never would I use someone else's.
I'd sooner use my finger, which I've
Myself,
done
yeah.
before, some finger on your toothpaste, and then rub your teeth or whatever, just to get the smell off. I mean, it might not clean them, but at least if you don't have any mouthwash, you don't have anything like that. But no.
It's surprising how many people.
And
will
how
say,
did this come up?
I
Were
was
you
having,
just like
No,
looking at a toothbrush, thinking, "Oh yeah,
no,
that's my toothbrush."
I've talked to a couple of people throughout the years that have either made a reference to it or like you said, there's situations sometimes you're in a bind as a parent, whether it's a kid or something like that, and then I of course took it to Google and I was blown away by the amount of people that didn't seem to have much of a problem with it.
Yeah. James says right. Just rinse it in hot water, no biggie. In an emergency. That said, he's never had to do it. So, and that's kind of how I feel. Even though I don't think the water really gets hot enough to
Sterilize
it by
it
any
does
means.
not. No.
If you were to boil it, maybe, but
not so. Not the other thing I googled today. In other, that should be the segment.
What did I Google today? How about this? Let's have a segment where we go through Terry's browser history.
Okay. Let me see that for a second first. Let me just get that ready for you. No, the other thing that I Googled in doing some of my travels this weekend in a few different cities. Here's a good question for you guys as well. I could have saved this one, but one I was just looking at a few hours ago. Assume you're alone and you are taking a Lyft or an Uber somewhere.
Okay.
Do you get in the front seat?
No.
Or do you get in the back seat?
Back seat. Always the back seat, unless there's
Why?
multiple people. It's just protocol.
Really?
It's kind of protocol. Unless I think
Whose protocol is this you speak of?
It's been established with taxi cabs and things of that nature.
Uh-huh.
Usually you do not get in the front seat unless the back seat is filled. Now, I look at every television show, every movie.
Which has cameras in them.
Correct, but you could put a camera in the front seat. I mean...
Well, okay, sorry. What do you mean by look at them?
Like look at the scenes when people are in there. People are always in the back seat. It just... I think it's kind of a... It's just a more...
More what? I want to hear this.
It just feels more natural. I know it's...
Okay. So here's a little tidbit. I have never sat in the back seat of an Uber or Lyft. I have taken...
What? You've never sat in the back seat?
Maybe 20 of them total in a few different states now. Usually, obviously, they're disc golf related more often than not going to an airport. I bet you I've taken a total of 20, and I have never sat in the back seat.
We need to get Robert Leonard on. He is an Uber driver. He actually has a blog, like Strange Uber Stories. I don't know the exact blog. Sorry, Robert. I haven't really looked at it.
As does Philo Ubered. Yeah. Was a Uber driver.
Was he? And just see what the standard is. If it's like
if
you're all
Google
by yourself.
It. You know what the Google says?
Front seat?
No protocol.
No protocol.
50-50.
I feel like since the days of taxis, people tend to be in the back seat. I think that's kind of a cultural standard. But maybe
some people are saying that's awkward.
Yeah.
So here's
awkward,
what.
Yeah. Someone's awkward AF. Terry, you're a psychopath. No. People are saying. Do you hold the driver's hand while you're in there too? Kind of like, hey, we'll get there, buddy.
No, here's what one article put it that I thought was interesting when I was talking about protocol. The article very much, I think the article was labeled something like "How to be a good Uber or Lyft passenger," and within that article it said, "Here's the general thought process. This is what the article said." If you plan to engage or you want to engage in conversation, sit in the front. If you want to nap or do business or do your own thing and you want to be left alone, so to speak, sit in the back. And I don't sit in the front thinking, heck yeah, I can't wait to get into into here so I can have a conversation with this random person. But I also feel like, well, I'm in the car with them. I'm not going to talk on my phone, as per suggested as well, is just generally rude. So
I don't think
problem.
That's rude at all. To get into an Uber and talk on your phone while you're in the Uber?
I not to carry on a full-blown, like, if you're on a 19-minute Uber ride, I think it's mildly rude to be on the phone for 17 of those minutes.
No, I disagree.
To take a call, no big deal. But
I think it would be rude if you were probably on the call when you got in the car because you want to be able to communicate. oh yes, that's me. This is where I'm going. Whatever. And it's kind of like when you're in line for a grocery store. Don't be on your phone. Just
Correct.
Or if you're in line for anything, I turn off my phone.
Yep.
I turn off the music when I'm in line for a Subway or whatever. When you get in, communicate with them. If you don't want to talk and you want to be on your phone, I have no problem with that.
Let's face it, I'm nicer than you then.
I'm, as Jeremy Colling said on the board, John, you're a monster.
So I know, and certainly as the article suggested, and I scoffed at this. The article also said, don't do anything with the windows, don't change any of the temperatures, and don't change the radio without asking. I would never do any of those things.
I would never do that in anybody's car.
Exactly. So none of those.
Yours car maybe, but
none of those would I ever do either. And so no, I would never touch any of the dials. Of course, I would say, oh, it's hot or it's cold or whatever. But in fact, as talkative as I can be, I would say 95% of my Uber and Lyft conversations just revolve around learning more about them and their situations. Because what I've been blown away by is, especially in a place like Vegas, for instance.
Second jobs usually.
Well, not just that, but the bureaucracy and the red tape and all the things that go into it. There's places that don't allow you to get dropped off at airports or get picked up at airports because the taxi and the unions, along with laws in every state, are just a little bit different. And one of the go-to questions I always have are, how do you get along with the local taxi drivers? And almost everywhere you will say they hate us.
Yeah.
And obviously for, a number of reasons, for decreasing their pay or overall and so forth. But I'm always completely intrigued by them and their situation. I always ask how long they've been doing it. I've been astonished by the numbers, everywhere from a couple weeks all the way to the guy I had today has been doing it since the day it started in his city for 4 years. So I'm like, well, it must, how many hours do they normally work? Place like Vegas, a lot of the people talked about how they obviously hit it during ideal convention times because there's always so many conventions going on in Vegas. I don't know. I've learned so much, and the amount of men to women ratio too has been very interesting. Obviously, it's way more men than there is women that are doing it.
I gotta imagine it's in the 90% for men.
Yeah.
DGN Disc Golf Nerd says there's a podcast that's an Uber driver who interviews his normal passengers. I saw that the first time on HBO when it was called Taxi Cab Confessions.
Correct.
Go look it up. Kids, ask your parents.
Yeah. So I asked in fact, I even asked a Lyft driver. I said, what happens, front or back seat for you, what's more common for you? He says, doesn't really matter. It's about 50-50.
Okay.
So for as many people that sit and think that the front seat is this crazy notion, I've been in the front seat in a minivan. I've been in a Suburban, the type of car. It doesn't matter. I immediately go to the front seat.
I think I rode in the front seat once when it was like I don't remember if it was Uber or Lyft. I think it was Lyft because it was like some sort of weird minivan and he had something in the back. So I was just like, he's like, just get in the front. I'm like, okay, click. And I feel a little awkward because I'm a pretty friendly person, very personable, I think. In general, not usually that talkative to that.
And I don't feel like you have to.
No.
If
I was
feel
on a
it's
long
weird
drive,
if I'd be belting out questions to somebody up in the front, say, hey, how long you been? Like, I'd feel weird if I had to do that.
And granted, most of my Uber trips have been under 8 minutes. We took an Uber at Vibram just last year. It was you, myself. Who was that?
I'm trying to even remember this.
Yeah, because remember we got dropped off the train. When we left the train station, and the Uber driver drove us to the airport. We walked out.
Correct.
Was it
Joe Revere?
Joe Revere was
with
there.
us.
Yep. So, so we took that, and we had to. I think I had to sit in the front because we were so packed. People had stuff on their laps, on their, it was you, me, Gio, and Joe Revere.
Yeah, I was trying to remember. I was thinking I was in the front, but either way.
No.
No,
I was for sure in the front.
When I'm solo, I have never sat in the back seat. It's just,
very strange.
Anyway, so interesting to then Google the protocols, or to Google if there is a protocol, I should say, and resoundingly there is not a protocol for it.
Yeah. No.
Be friendly, people.
Yeah.
If you want to be. If you want to sit in the front seat and be silent, there's nothing that says you can't do that either.
No. I would feel really awkward being silent in the front seat. Like if you're silent in the back seat, or even if you're chatty in the back seat, I think that feels a little more natural. But if you're in the front seat and you're silent, kind of odd. But anyway.
Andy says he wants a ride, not a new friend. I don't remember most of these people's names. I don't need to know their whole life story, as someone suggested.
No,
but
I don't mind chatting with them. And everybody has a story. Everybody is someone you can learn something from or be interested in. It all depends on the situation. Like I said, usually if I Uber, it's all of probably 3 or 4 miles just to get from one side of town to the other, or into town from where I'm at into downtown for like a concert or something like that. The last one I think I took was, I don't remember if I took it before or after the Vibram one, but to the Pearl Jam concert. I parked over at my office, and we Ubered over to the stadium, where then we Ubered back. So,
well, and another quick pro tip, at least in Vegas, considerably cheaper to use Lyft than Uber. I asked the Lyft driver, why is that, if they had any idea, and they said, she said, I'm not sure. I'm guessing it's to help try and grow our market here. We're relatively unknown here, which is funny because I see way more Lyft stuff. We're relatively unknown here, and they're maybe just trying to build a better user base right off the bat. But they're usually a few dollars cheaper than Uber, which is funny because Uber's become the Kleenex term.
Correct.
You don't say, oh, I'm going to... At least in my experiences, you don't say I'm going to Lyft somewhere. You say, oh, I'm going to Uber. Like Uber has become kind of
it's
the
almost
verb.
like the verb for it.
Exactly. So good on them, I guess.
All right.
All right. Well, I think we've got that figured out.
We've nailed that out. We've driven our watching numbers down on that conversation.
I'm just saying these are serious things that go through my head.
It's
and then into the internet keyboard.
I get it. I get it.
Well, you guys are sitting in your desk. I'm out living life on Uber, waving toothbrushes at people.
Yeah.
That's what I do. All right. What else do we have out there?
So
I'm waiting for somebody to come up with some better questions.
Yeah,
I think mine are spot on.
Yours are great questions. I'll admit, yours are great questions. I mean, they're driving life, man. They're driving life.
We got to send a huge shout out to Keith Vance.
Oh, Keith Vance, yes.
This weekend posted that he got an ace wearing his Smashbox TV shirt.
Yeah, that's awesome. Always
That's the only way to ace.
That's
I mean, we don't believe it if you didn't get it on video, but at least you could tell us with a picture.
Yeah, you can. If you're going to lie to us, do it in your Smashbox shirt. That's what we always say. So
that's what we say.
Yes, congratulations, Keith. We're very, very, very proud of you getting that ace.
Jeremiah, who's out here, asked if the Aussie Open is cursed. I don't think it's cursed. I think
it's difficult to get to. It's a complete change of environment on your body. I think just some players react differently to it, and I don't think it's. I mean, it's not. I don't believe in curses, but I don't think it's cursed. I just think that it's a rough trip. It's a very rough trip, physically, mentally,
and even if you weren't there for golf, I mean, there's no easy. I'll say there's no easy international travel. I mean, look at the number of layovers and the the things. And all the different points where things could go wrong, it's no small task.
Yeah.
Some questions on the board. Too bad they segued from Keith's ace right into Barry's ace. Did you see?
I did
not. I didn't get a chance to see it.
I did. It looked like it was about a little over 300-foot downhill shot. A real typical Barry shot, just a
dead straight, and then
it was a
rock.
It was a rock, a slight turnover to it. Just DX, I think it was. I think he said it. Did he say it was in Ontario? He said it right at the end. I couldn't remember if someone asked him what it was, and then he said no, it was this. I couldn't remember if someone asked him if it was in Ontario and he said it was a San Marino, or if it was vice versa. But yeah, I mean, it was just a pretty shot. We've seen Barry throw those types of shots for years and years here in Wisconsin. It's his bread and butter. You put a rock in that guy's hand, and I will put him up against any player in the world.
There you go. They're clarifying that it's a Rancho rock.
It was Rancho.
Jeremiah also says, what are the odds that Eagle throws out his arm before the tournament from 50 practice rounds? Somebody had said he had also posted a vlog of sorts here tonight so that some people can go out and enjoy that. Ice bowls, I know, are gearing up, taking place all around the country. I know we've talked about those in the past. Like a number of other campaigns, Ice Bowls are usually built around the premise of generating money and or actual food and canned goods for a local harvest or food bank of some sort.
Yes.
So certainly support those in any way that you can. And then Andy asked a question. I don't know where you've been, Andy. He says, I know GCC is first, but when's the lowdown on Memorial coverage? Smashbox or someone else? And
if you
come
can,
on, we got that on lockdown.
yeah, if you can think of somebody else, let us know. We might hire them.
Better than us.
There is nobody other than us. But yes,
so for
we will
live,
be doing.
for live coverage, of course, at the Disc Golf, it's the opener of the Disc Golf Pro Tour. We will, in fact, be live at the Memorial. I believe all 4 rounds. A lot of the Pro Tour events only have 3 rounds. We're going to be live for all 4 of the rounds at the Memorial as the Pro Tour kicks off. Hey, I think we got to tell them we need to get paid more if there's going to be 4 for that one. Ooh, it's Dodge. So, yes, that will, in fact, be live. And we're not sure. I'm not sure if Dodge even knows, Steve Dodge even knows about all of the details for edited coverage, who and the entities that will or won't be involved. That's a Steve Dodge question for right now. So we will be at the Gentlemen's Club, and that will be for Saturday and Sunday. The final 2 rounds will be live. Central Coast will be there doing edited round coverage for all 4 rounds. We're going to be there for the final 2, and that will you'll be able to see that. We're working with Spin TV in collaboration with Innova and Spin, so you'll see it on our Spin channel as well as on Smashbox TV.
Cool One asks, serious question, Terry and JVD. Name your favorite putter, mid, and driver at this time. That's really tough because I literally haven't thrown a disc since September. But my favorite mid, and it's the way it'll always be, is the Comet. I love me a Z Comet. If right after that is probably my first run Buzz. Favorite driver is my Destroyer. Right now, maybe Destroyer or T-Bird. It's tough, but I'm going Destroyer. My favorite putter. What am I even putting with these days? I honestly couldn't even tell you what's in my putting. What I'm putting with. It was for a long time. I was putting with magnets, and then I moved over to the clutch, and then I messed around with a Judge for a little while. I couldn't even tell you what my putter is right now. That's how little, not little I care, but little I play. And for me, honestly, I think for anything 30 and in, after I learn what the disc is going to do, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, and I would think they could. Maybe you should come out with a signature series like the Airball or the or the Whiff or something. Those would be good putters for you. On my end, again, like Johnny, I hardly ever play, but when I do, I think there's still some discs in my bag. More often than not, the go-to putter is some very seasoned but yet stiff KC AVR. I like them nice and slick. Mid-range is always going to be old original Ontario rocks. And then I don't know if I've ever progressed past a Wraith in terms of speed of disc that I've cared about. I've always been a Wraith guy. And I remember throwing a Destroyer. I have a first run Proto Star Stamp Destroyer. And it wasn't the right course for it, but I remember taking it there and throwing it 2008-ish, 2007, 2008, that time frame. And I threw it, and I was like, I don't really like this thing. It doesn't do anything for me. I'll stick with my Wraith. And I threw it a number of times, put it in a bin along with the other 15 or 20, and it still sits somewhere.
That's Terry's humble brag right there.
And what's cool about that is those are like $200 a piece now.
Yeah.
So
I like the Destroyer just because it's more stable than the Wraith. Other than that, that's what I'm usually throwing with. But I'm really excited. I'd like to get out this summer a little bit and start practicing a little more and start bringing my kid out. He loves to go out and play. I want to try out some of the dynamic disc stuff. I'm excited. I have a Truth that I like that I threw a couple times. I've got some Trespasses that are fun, and I just want to get out and try other plastic. So
yeah, that would require us playing.
Well, exactly. That's why since you've stopped running leagues, basically, I don't play. So I think what I'm going to try to do is just go out with my boy at some point. But it's again, it's tough.
Seti feeling neglected. Seti, don't play such a victim here, pal, for you. I think you asked a timely question that was answered hours ago, maybe. Who's sick and not? 99%,
Yeah.
99.9 sure they're not playing. That was Big Germ.
Yeah, Big Germ, we broke the story that it's 99% sure he's not playing. He's been ill with some sort of flu or food poisoning or something where he's been on his
Some
back
kind of
for
flu
3
bug,
days.
yeah,
so it is, it's probably not pretty.
Yeah, so best of luck to him. He said he was going to go to the ER, and then Hannah said he should eat charcoal. So you're all caught up now. We're sorry you came late to the party. Yeah, and there's as I think you were just alluding to, there's a ton of plastic out there that we just don't have the chance to get out and throw. We've got a lot of love for Legacy. I've thrown Ghost that I really love.
I really liked the Canon.
Yeah, there's a ton of great discs out there. DD has a lot of great discs, obviously, and Latitude, and all these people have all these great discs that just really never get a chance to actually going out and throwing and practicing with anymore. So
Yeah.
lots of good discs out there. Vinny just said he's just started throwing destroyers. Mike Mack has 6 of them in his bag.
Like I said, I liked the destroyer because I think I have a medium arm speed, medium to fast arm speed, and horrible footwork. But when I really lay into a destroyer, I can get it to stand up, and it doesn't usually flip over on me unless I'm running into some headwind. But that was why I really always liked the destroyer, because I know I can lay into it on a hyzer, and I can, when I really get a hole, when I can throw it 360 to 380. But other than that, yeah. But now I'd be happy to break about 310. I think at this point I need to get back out there.
A lot of love out there, of course, for the Trespass and the Truth. Everybody talks about.
We've got a stack of them. Maybe we should look at some of those.
Yeah,
but those are
throwing some of those.
Yeah, some exclusives. Bobby Brown sent us some Trespass and Truths before the EMAC. They're pre-EMAC Truths. They're the standard Truths. So.
Is that what they call them? The ST, the standard Truths?
No. Those are I think those are Fusion, but they still make the Truth and they make the EMAC Truth. So there's two different. Like the Truth is now kind of like a more of a straight flyer. I think the EMAC is more stable, from what I understand. I don't know exactly.
I'm gonna refer to them as the Pest, the pre-EMAC standard Truth.
The Pest,
the
nice.
Pest.
The Pest.
That's the way to do it.
The Pest.
Yeah, of course, Outlaws. All right, we could talk about discs all day, in the sense that there's a ton of them out there that we don't get to throw, or haven't gotten around to throwing it, and lots of people love lots of different discs.
Yeah, as Terry and I have always said, it doesn't matter manufacturer or anything. If you we joke about the groove on the board a little bit. That's kind of everyone's Billy Goat, but if it works for you, it's a good disc. That's all I have to say. No matter what it is, look at all those wrecks out there that are okay golfers that are playing with discs that are 8 years old and just beat to crap, and they just stand up for them and they fade. They may only throw it 250 feet, but they go straight as narrow. But you would put anything else in their hand and they have no clue what to do. So if it works for you, it's a good disc.
Exactly. I think there's a segment. Is this disc right for you?
Yeah, there is.
Something like that.
So I ran this idea by you.
Oh, I don't think we want to share it with them though. If we're not doing it, I think we need to claim it, bust it out, and do it.
You think so?
To take full stake. I don't think we should share that. If it's the idea that you're thinking about, that I'm thinking about.
All right, then I guess
no,
Terry
sorry.
says we're not sharing
I just hushed them. I think unofficially.
Is
there a term for that other than hushing you?
I
love the idea, and you're going to see something cool and amazing and awesome
soon
here on Smashbox.
Yep, and
soon. But that's the tease you get.
New show. We'll say that. Hopefully, we'll be doing a new show of some sort, and I think you guys are going to like it.
I know they're going to like it.
I really wanted to spill the beans.
No, I think we need to just bust it out.
Okay.
Bust it out, and they will like it. They're going to quit Tuesdays or whenever we're going to do this, and they're going to just watch that one instead.
We'll have appointment viewing. We'll be at 2 nights a week.
Yes. There's going to be something that you guys are going to thoroughly love, and new, unique, original to everything that's going on here in the disc golf world, and we're excited to do it. I'm flipping through various tabs on my browser, and all I keep seeing is Avery.
Avery talking.
Avery's up. So as you said, doing looks like they had Paige Pierce, Wow, special guest tonight that he talked about. It was Paige Pierce, Ricky Wysocki, and PDGA Tour manager Mike Downs. So Avery pulling in quite the double duty in that he's going to be playing this weekend, but then also doing some media components.
I mean, granted, the media components really only take 15 to 20 minutes probably, and he can probably get a round of practice in. And then he'll finish in wherever he finishes, probably
top 10.
Do we want to top 10? Do we want to do any picks?
No, we didn't do any. I guess we could.
Should we do some?
I don't know who's going to be dropping out next week or in the next few days.
Tomorrow.
That's a good. I could get on board with that. If you guys want to go ahead and submit your picks on the chat, we'd love to see it. Or go out to skipace.com and submit your picks that way. Then you can tell us that you did it officially, and everyone will know what they are.
I am not going to go on any limbs here. I'm going to pick Paul Macbeth to win.
Wow.
Followed up by Ricky Wysocki.
Mm-hmm.
Eagle. Philo. Paul, Ricky, Eagle, Philo. That's my role.
Paul, Ricky, Eagle, Philo. Seems pretty reasonable.
Yeah. I think Eagle could bump up and beat Ricky, but I'm going to give Ricky the benefit of the doubt. It's a major. I think he's going to put forth, not that he doesn't put forth his best effort in every event, but that he will be, he'll be, I think it's going to be a battle between him and Paul. So we'll see. So Paul, Ricky, Eagle, Philo.
All right. I'm just looking at the list. As we said the other day, it looks as if you subtract Jeremy Colling from the lineup, we're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 8,000 plus rated players. Then there's a little bit, I'd say a significant dip. When you go from Pasi Koivu, I hope I pronounce that right all the time, that's how I always say it, to Lucas Rokkanen, there is
you go from
a significant jump.
You go from your pros to your players.
Yeah, you go from 979 to 1,008. That's almost a 30-point jump. And when you have essentially, we'll say 8 players that are in that upper echelon, obviously some people can move up into there, but it's almost like there's the cut line.
Yeah.
Like there might be the payout cut line right off the bat. Then you play all the holes. That's why you're at a tournament, because anything can happen. Anyone can win. But there's a pretty significant difference there.
And I'm not going to go on any limbs, and I'm going to say Paige is going to win for it.
Ooh.
FBO.
Okay.
Ooh,
and on the women's side, just to follow up Johnny V's comment there, Paige Pierce rated 958, Des Redding at 930, Jennifer Allen 924, Madison Walker at 918.
Yeah.
So we see.
I think it's going to go Paige and then Jen.
Okay. And out of the 9 women, we see 5 are from the U.S. and 4 from overseas. Anything crazy on the master side? We've got Jay Redding at 999, Kozu Shirari.
I think Jay will probably take this down,
and Das Loomis. Okay.
But I mean, that's a closer match, I think, amongst those 3. But I think Jay will probably take it down.
Fair enough. If you didn't hear it already during the regular show, real quick, Michael Barnett and his wife Cindy have announced that Disc Golf Cruise number 2 is officially up and running. And
did he say
works.
how quickly they sold out of the first one?
It wasn't quite the 12 or 24 hours we had kind of maybe called on the show, but it was certainly within a few days that people had to call in, and then some people I know were a little bit frustrated because they were calling in or waiting on a callback or whatever the case is. Go out to discgolfcruise.info. That will bring you to the website that gives you all the details, calling in, emailing, all that stuff. They'll tell you what you need to do there so that you're good to go. Okay? So, but it will be, I clarified with Mike Barnett, they'll have the original cruise. They'll have then 1 week of clinics and demos and maybe a tournament during that week.
Okay.
And then they'll go back out on the second cruise. So
not like 2 boats right next to each other.
No, that'd be a good idea though.
Just throw back and forth.
Yeah, but then you'd miss out on all those amazing guests.
I know. I'm
trying to work my way on that cruise.
I know you are.
I don't work hard.
I know you
will work hard.
You're a pretty hard
worker. I'm going to work my way onto that cruise. keep checking my gocruiseme.com account.
That sounds really bad. That sounds like a website I would never visit.
I don't know.
Go cruise me.
Bring your own toothbrush. That's all I gotta say. Drink your milk and bring your own toothbrush. We have Sherry on the board, Jessica Weiss's mom, I believe, unless that's Jessica directly. I'm pretty sure that it is not. Someone had asked who had dropped out of Aussie Open. We talked about that earlier. Yes, Nico was not able to be there, and it looks very likely that 99%, according to him, Big Germ will not be there. Ian from Central Coast is in on the board. Welcome, Ian. Good to see you, buddy.
Someone asks if we're gonna have Ragna on soon. I know she just said on Facebook she's getting ready for her 2017. She's feeling better after giving birth. She had a pretty rough C-section, it sounded like, and we wish her nothing but the best. And we're not opposed to having her on by any means. I think just usually we have something a little more pressing. So hopefully, if she gets back in and starts playing well, we would be happy to have Ragna on.
Absolutely. Central Coast, yes, Ian, as we just discussed a few moments ago, see you out in Vegas. Super excited to do it. We talked about it last week as well, that we're all locked in for the final 2 rounds.
Locked and loaded.
Locked and loaded. I just slipped my mind what I was also gonna bring up.
I don't know. I'm going to a water park this weekend.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, leaving Friday.
Which one?
Mount Olympus, an indoor water park. It's a nice one.
In Wisconsin Dells.
Yep, my in-laws have graciously, rather than doing Christmas gifts, they got the 3 families, myself and my 2 brother-in-laws, their families, some indoor water parks. So I'll be the beached whale sitting on the side, hanging out, maybe in the big wave pool, figuring doing some relaxation this weekend. So.
Sounds like a plan. Disc Golf Nerd says, Johnny, you should come to the Beaver State Fling this year.
I would love to come to Beaver State Fling. I've never been to the Beaver State Fling.
You've never been to Milo.
No.
I mean, Worlds being there in 2014.
I have a problem because there's
no
no cell signal there. So I start to shake, and it makes me feel bad.
Yes, so you should.
No, I would love to there's a couple events. I always said, hey, I can't wait to get to the Memorial. Then I got to go to the Memorial. Then it was, oh, man, GBO I heard is awesome, and Vibram, and I finally got to go to those 2. Beaver is really like Beaver and Masters Cup. I'm trying to think if I was at Masters Cup.
No.
I was
at Worlds.
I was at Worlds. Yeah,
held at De La.
Held at De La. But Masters and Beaver really are the 2 that I really want to get to now. Those are on my bucket lists, so to speak. So hopefully, if I can wrangle some time away, I would love that. Summers are always better for me because my wife works in the school district. Even though she's an administrator, she works year round, but she can kind of get a little more leeway during the summers. So that works out best for me.
Sherry clarifies on the board that both her and Jessica are listening in here on Smashbox on our Tuesday night podcast. However, Jessica is doing push-ups. Sherry, then I'm just going to say, why aren't you? I mean, really?
Maybe Sherry already did hers.
That's true.
Maybe Sherry's sitting on Jessica while she does the push-ups.
That's quite possible.
And
we're all looking forward to a healthy and recovered Jessica Weiss.
Oh, for sure.
She's talked about being out there and throwing and playing again. Obviously, being pretty much sidelined for last year. We're looking forward to her recovery. And I'm sure we'll be seeing more of her, especially on top of leader cards out there. Beats asked, and I'll read it as he's written it. He said, "Why this may or may not be a topic you want to talk about. Why does Kat seem so mad when she plays? She's a great advocate for women and for the sport.
Yeah, Terry.
But is she as angry as she looks? And I don't think that's a fair assessment.
No, not at all.
I think Kat has said this, and Mahmood, a friend of ours who works at ESPN,
yep.
He said it a few weeks ago, and I think he said it best on his Facebook page. It was right after I released the women's skins match, and he said, and I think it was in direct reply to that after it was being released, and he saw some of the comments. He said, "I'm sick of the double standard that's out there. If Ricky doesn't smile or Paul doesn't smile, they say they've got ice in their veins and they're
super
focused
competitive
and they're super competitive. But when Kat or a woman isn't smiling or laughing, that they're in some way unhappy or that there's something wrong with them." And he said that's a completely unfair double standard. I think that's part of the definition of double standards. And I fully agree with him. In fact, I had a conversation with Kat recently, and we talked about that very situation. And she said she's very dialed. She's very focused. She works incredibly hard on her game. She practices,
her crossword puzzles.
And her crossword puzzles, for sure. And she practices really hard. She trains, and she does her yoga, and she does clinics, and she does so many things. And again, there's that outward perception or that outward assessment that people make that may not be fair. So
that's exactly what I was going to say.
I'm not. I don't think it's a topic, a matter of brushing over it. I think that's the situation. And if we had Kat right here, I think she would say all of those things. Maybe be a little more. I don't want to say more timid to say it, but I'll say it loudly for her. She's
not the type to say it. That's her problem.
Yeah, and I'll gladly say it on her behalf.
And I'll say this: every time I've been around Kat off the course, delightful.
Yeah, of course. So
yeah, I mean, there's just I mean, you could really, the one person that I think you compare her to best is Ricky, because Ricky has that. I'm going to walk in front of everybody. I'm the first one when he's usually not the last on the tee. So when the last person tees, Ricky has his cart and is walking. Like, I think he can almost catch the disc that the guy throws. He's out there so fast, and he's just focused. Like, he's thinking about his game. And I think Kat has the same mentality. So,
yeah. So I don't think it's fair when people make some kind of personality,
and I think the
negative personality assessment.
And maybe I will go on a limb. I'm not gonna say the problem with it might be is that usually when we show the women's rounds, the women that tend to be towards the top of the field, Paige, Val, Zoe, Madison, Des, they have a slightly different mentality. When they're playing, they're usually a little bit more jovial. They're a little bit more smiling, things like that. That's just not how Kat plays. So the comparison, it looks a lot different when you see all these girls kind of chumming it up and Kat's not joining them.
And
so it really
she focuses in a different way.
Because she focuses in a different way. Some people focus by not thinking about it and then focusing at the shot. Kat has this mentality of the minute I tee off, or maybe even before, till that last putt goes down, she's in game mode. So I think the dichotomy is so much different in the women's group that I think it looks way different when Kat is more focused. Because the men, there's not as much joking and chatting and congratulations as we've seen on women's cards. It's just that's the way it is.
And Beat says, again, we can only judge by the video in front of us. And understandably, I could see how people arrive at some of that thought process. And the best we can do is, in our own way, quote unquote, set it straight and say, here's what we see, here's what we feel about it, because we are maybe a little bit closer to the situation. But that's kind of just the way that it's been. And some people are saying on the board, they know Kat. She's relatively shy or soft-spoken, and maybe isn't, in your face or anything like that, because that's not her style.
Yeah.
She's definitely driven and focused and ready to play golf, and she's above everything. She's a fierce competitor. I think more than anything out on the course. And you see that when she goes out and destroys people in the men's field as well. She's out there as a competitor. So. And Disc Golf Nerd is saying also, Ricky is so different on and off the course, and it's interesting.
Ricky's a blast.
And yeah, I could definitely agree with that. And Truth Always Wins states, no player is obligated to act in any certain way as long as they are not rude or disruptive. Let her play.
Exactly.
That's another great way to word it. So many different people handle, and this could go almost off into the tangent of the whole earbuds and earphones thing. Some people really like them and wear them. Some don't. Everyone has a different style in terms of how they get focused and into game mode and what those things are that assist them. And you joked about it earlier. Katrina, for instance, one of her refuges during a round is to sit down and do a crossword puzzle. I've never seen any other man or woman doing a crossword puzzle. That's her thing. And if that works for her during a backup or during any kind of situation,
which is funny because that's what I do right before bed. I've got a stack of puzzle books next to my bed. Either it's Sudoku or maybe those old school Dell Logic puzzles that you used to get at the grocery store. Every Christmas I get 1 or 2 of them, and I'll just sit up next to my bed and crossword puzzles and all these little games, and that's how I get relaxed and go to sleep. My wife will sit and read a book. I tend to listen to audiobooks, and I don't like to do it in bed, so I'll just grab one of those. I'll do a puzzle. Sometimes they're easy, sometimes they're hard. Put it down, turn off my light, and go to sleep. Like, that's how I just decompress at the end of the day. So it's funny that she takes that as her way to stay focused.
Or in her own way.
Or maybe it's a relaxation from being so focused
Exactly.
all the time. I don't know.
Exactly. There's a lot of different ways to look at it. So have a great night, Keith. He was just sticking around for a shout out. No, but have a great night, Keith. Again, congrats on the ace. What did you say it was? 600 feet? 500?
680.
Something like that. So very good to see. Cat can easily throw 400. Yeah, I think that's one of the understatements of the night, as mentioned here by Truth Always Wins. And Cat has a very unique form. I guess that's a total side note. But, yeah, her form is very different. If you look at how she gets it done at 400 feet plus and how Paige gets it done, their two wind-ups and follow-throughs and forms are completely different. Everything about it, the delivery and everything is definitely very different.
Yep.
260, he says he thinks.
Well, we'll spread the rumor. 620 feet. Let's mix them up a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. One way or another, we got all the numbers in there. I'm not sure that we have a heck of a lot more here, Johnny.
I don't think so.
It's been a pretty good night. I think we've had a lot of great info. We want your feedback. We want their feedback. Yeah. We want your feedback. Let us know, because we assemble notes, and of course we reach out to players, or players reach out to us. Companies, tours reach out to us. We enjoy bringing that. Sometimes it's exclusive, or sometimes like today, and I think you're going to see a lot with like the Next Gen Tour. They may have some kind of a release on a Tuesday, and then look for us to help fill in some of the details and the gaps, kind of like Disc Golf Cruise did with us last week.
Yep.
Put it out there and then said, okay, let's elaborate once we get on the show. So we would love for you guys to give us some feedback if you enjoy continuing to hear that kind of stuff, or if you feel like we need more regarding interviews. Our regular segments that you're going to see more of as the year goes into it. Of course, we're going to be talking to Zoe more. We're going to have Dana more frequently. We're going to have Yuli for Yuli's picks more frequently. Those are all some givens, and we're going to continue to rotate those guys in and out.
Disc Golf Nerd, don't
Disc
forget
Golf
him.
Nerd as well as
right.
has provided the quick insights on the disc. So we appreciate all of those different things. So let us know what you like to hear, how you like to hear it, things you want to hear more about, and we'll try and hit on those as much as we possibly can. There will be a few more Felberg updates. I'll just say more next generation tour updates, as we're going to continue to help roll out some details for that. I think there's going to be some pretty cool media involvement as that thing rolls on throughout the year. And then the excitement's going to build over who in the world's going to possibly win a car.
I'm excited. I'm excited to find out what kind of car it is.
Okay.
Do you want to make a bet? Do you know what it is?
I don't know.
Okay, I don't know what it is, because sometimes you know things and we don't say it. But what, should we make a? Should we guess what it is?
I'd have to think about. Yeah, go ahead. Okay.
I'm just trying to think.
No, we can.
I'm gonna. I think I'm gonna go with. Maybe a Honda Civic.
Fair enough. I'm gonna admit I just Googled 2017 mid-size car, because I'm just guessing something in that neighborhood. And I'm gonna go out. I don't know if I don't think it's going out on any kind of limb. I'm gonna say it's gonna be some kind of, I don't know. I want to say it's going to be something, I don't want to say random. I don't know if that's the right word. I don't want to sound negative in any way. I'm going to say it's going to be a Kia. Maybe a Kia.
Oh, it's actually
Optima or something like that.
Because I was thinking I was thinking like a Camry or something like that. But yeah, maybe.
Jonathan,
I think.
Go ahead.
I think maybe I think I'm too high in my price.
Okay, maybe. Yeah, I have absolutely no idea. I know they're working with sponsors. I know they're going to be working with various people. I have no idea who they are, but I think it doesn't matter. It's pretty darn cool.
Yeah.
I'm not sure anyone's going to clarify. I don't think it's going to be a BMW or an Acura.
I think a Focus or a Civic. I'll stick with my Civic, but I think it's going to be one of those two.
Okay. Cool one asks, please clarify exactly when and time of the Valdos Women's Forum broadcast on Smashbox, please. So that will be Wednesday, February 1st at 7:30 Central Time, because I believe she said 5:30 Pacific.
5:30 Pacific.
So I'll do some math. 5:30 Pacific, 7:30 Central, 8:30 Eastern is when it's going to start. I believe I saw on a side note that there would be a 2-hour maximum limit, so they're already doing better than us. But they're planning on a 2-hour max time limit, and it will all be on Smashbox. It'll be archived. It'll be just like every other podcast night in the sense that if you come in a little late, you can start yourself, or you can pick up right where they are, and then it'll archive itself. All of those things. But yes, 7:30 on Wednesday, February 1st. Smashbox TV in conjunction with Val and the rest of the women, along with the PDGA. You'll be able to see it, and then it'll all be archived. So that should work for you guys. All right, guys, we're going to call it. Lots of great questions. Tell me where you're lifting and you're Ubering, and tell me if you're borrowing toothbrushes or not, because that's what we need to know here in the after show. So thank you to all of our Patreon supporters. Thank you to all of our listeners, whether you support us in any financial situation or not. Doesn't matter. We appreciate all of you guys for listening, and if you decide to support us, you can win some free stuff. So for Johnny V and myself, Terry Miller, the Disc Golf Guy, that's podcast number 128's After Show. We'll see you guys next week when you step inside the Smashbox.
Thank you to our $2 and above patrons. Your name is listed below in the video credits. If you're interested in being listed as a producer on Smashbox TV's podcast, please visit patreon.com/SmashboxTV.